is wolf.
It's Halloween Eve and onesie night here on the Merri Hour. I don't want to my bangs are so nice and straight. I don't want to put mine on. Hold on. I'll just.
I know. I don't want to ruin my hair either.
Oh, your beautiful hair, your long wavy hair.
I don't want to rob everyone of that.
All right, that went back to normal pretty quickly. An early happy Halloween to everybody out there. What's up, guys? We're gonna have fun tonight.
Are we?
I think so. Don't you have other onesies? Didn't you tease wearing a different onesie tonight?
I have a Chewbacca one. No, I got a wolf.
That's what you had said though. Oh, you bought the wolf just for tonight.
No, I bought the wolf at the beginning of the pandemic because we decided to have a pajama party. Like when we thought that this was going to be a fun thing we do for a few months, the Zoom calls and things. Yeah. We're like, oh, let's have a pajama party. And now like half a year later, we're like, oh, we should have bought a lot more onesies.
I bought this just for tonight, and I think I'm going to wear it all the time now.
Yo, when I bought my first onesie, like I just straight up went on the comfy train. I was like, oh, onesies are dumb, whatever. And now like I wear this thing like whenever I can.
If I ever own a business and get the opportunity to make a dress code, it's going to be onesies only. Oh my God, I need to open this so badly. Is that from Phantom Carriage?
No, this is one of my Denvers. It's a Denver pumpkin beer with a nice little rooster jack-o'-lantern on the front.
Yum.
So we're getting our pumpkins in. I didn't have any pumpkin beers yet this season.
I'm so excited to be having a beer. What's up, guys? I'm excited to see all you out there. Steven, Andrew, Christy, MK Songbird, everyone's here. Matthew, Red Hood. What's up, guys? We got a lot to do tonight.
Yeah, what do you want to like get like a news thing out of the way really quick? Like let's start with a news thing.
If that's what you want to do, guys, full disclosure, we prepped like next to nothing tonight. But
crazy work day.
We're going to hit every single thing that's in the description section of this video and then some. We just don't know
what we're professionals.
Where do you want to start, Matt?
Halloween.
Okay.
Let's just make it easy. Let's start with the Halloween.
In case you guys don't know, we got some new Halloween kills footage. And you can just Google it and find it anywhere out there if you haven't seen it. It is a super short 30-second teaser. It doesn't reveal very much about the stories beyond the fact that Michael Myers is back, and we already know some original cast members are coming back, so we got to look at them in the trailer, but it's very light story-wise, and more than anything, it's atmospheric, which to me feels like the perfect thing to release to tease the movie, especially on Halloween weekend.
I like the implications of it, though, because while it is a short tease, there's something very big that is teased in it, and that is the fact that it's basically the town versus Myers, and no longer is it just one person squaring off against Michael Myers. We get these great shots of the entire town coming together, and character by character, it's like a walkthrough, and someone grabs their bat, someone else grabs their whatever, and it's like a full-on like riot, like Frankenstein moment where it's like everyone going against Frankenstein's monster, and everyone's got their pitchforks, and the thing it ends on is an entire crowd. Like it looks like descending on Myers, which I'm very into this. No,
that's a good point. That's definitely in there and could be teasing that element of the story. If that is the case, and if that is what they're building towards, what do you think the difference between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends will be?
Let's see. I mean, if we're
it's like,
you're already going. Go.
I feel like Halloween Kills, like as in the word kills, might apply to killing in the town of anyone who's not Michael Myers, and it's going to end on, I don't want to say like a downer moment, but a moment where the heroes look like they're losing, and then Halloween Ends is going to be whoever's left rising up to finish it off once and for all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just trying to think how like the town works into that, because if you have Halloween Kills, I don't know. Like, do they kill Myers? No, they can't kill him this time. No, open up the door to something else and ends. But no, we do have to assume that it's.
They can't play the same game as the last Halloween either. Like you get the impression that I mean, like deep down, I knew Michael Myers was going to come back when they wanted to make more movies, but you still are left with the impression that the plan worked. He was locked inside, and they did what they set out to do. But you can't play that game so many times.
No. Yeah, you can't do that again. So I think this has to be. I mean, they shot them together, so to me, it's a continuation of two. Like it's one larger film that they just broke up, like it kind of doing it that way. But I think they're gonna have to leave a tease for this one. Again, I love the idea of a full mob scene that ends with like everyone descending on Michael Myers.
Mhm.
Maybe that's the cliffhanger. Maybe the cliffhanger is everyone going to wherever he is, and it's the mob outside ready to go, and then.
I hope it's not that kind of cliffhanger. I mean, I love a franchise and a series of films as much as anybody out there, but still, I more so appreciate when a movie that's part of a series feels like a complete story in addition to being a valuable part of its whole.
Yeah, I mean, there's also been weirder franchise continuations looking at every single horror franchise imaginable. I mean, Jason Goes to Hell is a little Jason demon that comes out of it. Like, like there are ways around this. I'm just thinking of, I don't think they're going to pull any of those tricks. I don't think we're going to get anything of the Jason Goes to Hell level. So it's got to be a more grounded story or whatever you want to call it. It's got to be something along those lines where, I don't know, maybe it does make sense that this is the town revolt, Haddonfield revolting against Michael Myers and finally destroying their curse once and for all. But you only get halfway there in the first movie, and the second half is kind of chop.
Well, it's a nice thing for Laurie to experience too, having gone through so much of her life with, her being the crazy lady, and now her family fully believes her and is behind her. And if the next stage, it's like, if anything, I could see the town coming together. I don't mean as in Halloween Kills, shows that other members of Haddonfield are like ready to kill Michael Myers. I feel like that click, that like light bulb idea needs to go off at the very end. And then them actually coming together to fight him is the next movie, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And also, like, it's a great moment of recognizing the trauma in these films, that it's longer than just...
With a Halloween...
No.
The Avengers Assemble.
But again, like, it's acknowledging the trauma that everything that Michael Myers has done has not just affected the Strodes. Like, it's affected the entire town of Haddonfield. And, I think it does come through in some of the other films, but finally you get this moment of... a lot of other people getting catharsis, and at least the teaser is kind of showing that. So I'm really into the idea that they've taken a step back and realized it's not about just a core set of characters. It's about an entire location, an entire place. And, now they're addressing to the trauma of a whole town. So I dig that. I think it's a really good vibe. I just still think, I don't know, could Halloween Kills reference killing like somebody important, like a Strode? I don't know.
That's a stressful thing to think about, but we entertain that idea with every single movie that a main character that could. I mean, we had that same conversation with Scream. We literally had that same conversation with Scream 5, where you get the 3 OGs back, and we make the assumption that one of them at least is going to have to bite the dust after all this time. It's unfortunate.
If you watch the new Tremors movie, all good things come to an end, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to watch that.
Why? It's great. It's a blast.
I've never been back into the Tremors franchise. I did recently rewatch the first one, and I have enough fun with it. It's not my favorite.
So they finally got to the part in the franchise where they really don't give a crap, and the best way I can describe this is like it's a combination of Tremors Jurassic Park and Tremors Predator. It's so much fun. It's stupid dumb fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they've gone big gum.
The way you described it just piqued my interest.
I know. It shouldn't be good. A bunch of them were not good recently. They got rid of Jamie Kennedy. It's great now again.
Wait, we have some Halloween comments in here.
I do like the one.
There was one that I saw before, and now I've lost it.
Well, okay. So number one,
prediction. They think they got Michael, but he's back and kills Laurie's daughter.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance.
I don't think they would kill the granddaughter.
No, I think they're going to kill. If anything, I think that's Laurie's time. No, I think that, okay, so AJ Post commented, Jamie Lee Curtis said Kills is about mob violence and Ends is about the legacy of evil, whatever that may mean. I'm excited for both. But, I mean, that plays into exactly the teaser we just saw. So, mob violence, and then somebody else down.
Wait,
yes, Johnny Depp.
Just to continue off of this idea, I wonder if there's an interesting way to get at it where the Haddonfield mob, slips into the characteristics of being evil along the lines of Michael, and ends is them discovering that and kind of righting their wrongs.
If you look down a few more comments, Mr. Donaldson has said, maybe half the town blames Laurie for bringing the curse back, and it's divided in some going after the Strodes and some protecting them.
Maybe they're not going after Michael and they're just going after the Strodes.
It could be. I mean, things could have been fine for a long time, and then all of a sudden the killing starts again.
That's an interesting thing, too, where it's like in the Halloween franchise, Michael is the killer. He's the slasher that kills everybody. But what if the evil that he inflicted on others sparks it in other people that then try to use those tactics against the Strodes? I'm liking this.
Also, copycat killers. Every horror movie has, you have the copycat routine. This is all going off 30 seconds. Like, this is all going off 30 seconds for the content.
Well, I actually think that one of those last comments did remind me that I think there are some Jamie Lee Curtis quotes swirling around out there. Yes, they are. And I see them right here on Collider. She was talking to someone on Sirius XM and said what we were seeing. Wait, let me just make sure this is. Yeah, it is. What we were seeing around the country of the power of the rage of voices, big groups of people coming together enraged at the set of circumstances. That's what the movie is. The movie is about a mob. And so it's very interesting because it takes on what happens when trauma infects an entire community. And we're seeing it everywhere with the Black Lives Matter movement. We're seeing it in action, and Halloween Kills, weirdly enough, dovetailed onto that, preceded it. It was written before that occurred, but then, of course, so when you see it, it's a seething group of people moving through the story as a big, angry group. It's really, really, really intense. It's a masterpiece. I'll believe that when I see it, but...
the last part of it I'll believe when I see, but...
I do trust Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. No, I mean, the mom mentality aspect is, as we just kind of said, it's really intriguing to me. I want to see more. I want to see a full trailer here to actually get the full idea.
As do I. And I want to go to a movie theater and see it with everybody.
Well, that too.
We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. All right. What next? Review or another news story?
Review.
Okay. I'll pick. I'll say let's do Come Play first.
Yeah, that's fine.
That works. For it? All right.
I think I'm ready for it. Am I ready for it?
What did you just say?
I said, am I ready for it? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Well, we're going to find out. Because right now it's time to review the new release. For this? Come Play.
All right, let's go.
I'm not brushing my bangs aside to get ready.
I'm ready now. I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
So, Come Play is about a little boy named Oliver who doesn't have any friends, and he really wants friends, and he winds up getting a friend through his devices, through his tablet and through his phone. Problem is, this isn't the kind of friend you want to have. So then the movie becomes about Oliver's parents trying to protect him from this friend that met him through his tablet and phone, named Larry. And if you haven't seen the short film that this is based on, you should check it out. Seriously, that short film was great. I really did like that short film, and I didn't like the full feature as much. It's
I didn't.
This movie is fine with a capital F. You can sit through it, and I think it is an engaging enough watch to be a reasonable way to spend 90 minutes of your time. But there were so many missed opportunities in this movie where a lot of what they do scare-wise, it feels surprisingly dated to me. Like I've seen it all before.
Well, and that's the message too. I mean, like it's trying to make a commentary on internet obsessions, and it's trying to make this idea that like Larry only preys on those who are on the internet too much because they are lonely and they use the internet to fill their loneliness. And great message. I mean, yeah, it's true, but it's dated as hell in the way they put it out there. Like they don't have any backing message behind that. It's really surface value. And the scares themselves, everything is just super surface value. They don't do anything original and new in a way. And especially if you've seen the movie Z on Shudder, which it's almost the same goddamn thing. Like I mean, I watch a lot of horror movies. It's what I do. I see them when they come out, and Z came out, I think like March, maybe March-ish. And it's been there for a while. And they take risks with what they do in the imaginary friend scenario, which number one, they look exactly the same. They are the big lumbering skeleton ogre kind of creatures. They look almost word for word. Z is a lot nastier. The tameness that you have described in Come Play, which is very much true. Every scare is just kind of like just a little prick. It's just right there, but like they don't really do anything with it. And I watched Nobody Sleeps in the Woods, which hit Netflix a few days ago. And I bring that up just because I was having this wrestle in my head with like, is fine actually fine? Because Come Play, like you said, is fine.
Yeah.
But you're never going to remember it. It's not going to make any impact, and it's not going to leave any lasting value. Nobody Sleeps in the Woods is also fine, but it's also confidently directed. It's something that's familiar that you know, but it also goes full force into it. And I think that's where Come Play doesn't. I think Come Play has a basic idea, a basic premise, but everything it does is basic beyond that. It doesn't have enthusiasm behind what it's doing. So that's where it falls for me. I think that's where it becomes less fine and more like, fuck you.
I think when it comes to, you know, trying to figure out what the word fine means to you and basically whether or not we would recommend it is what you're in the mood for. If you want kind of like a light scare that doesn't really call for, I guess, that much
attention, depth,
like attention to, you know, thematic heft or certain ideas like that. Come Play is a decent ride, but you're going to forget it immediately after it's over. And that was another thing that I found to be a big shame with this movie, because I am a big fan of technology horror because I sit on my computer all the time and I happily watch things on my iPad and I'm on my phone all the time. I get a real thrill out of something like, let's use Host as an example, a really creative story told on a Zoom call, where when I finish watching Host on my computer and then I booted up a Zoom call to talk to a friend, it freaked me out a little. I think Come Play had the chance to have that same effect if it was a little more created, if it felt a little more like, I guess, like modern of the times, tapped into how we all use this technology a little bit better. But on top of that, if the movie was available at home, that's the other. I think that the choice to go theatrical with this is a major missed opportunity for the movie, because I think it could have caught on at home, especially on Halloween weekend.
Yeah, especially because my review comes with the caveat of it's only in theaters, so don't see it until you can watch it at home.
I will not recommend this to anyone who is considering seeing this movie in theaters. Do not waste your time. Do not risk your health. Stay at home and wait. And when you have the option to watch it at home, and if what we're describing is the type of movie you're in the mood for, I think it's passable.
Yeah, but again, the greatest sin that any movie can actually commit is being forgettable. And that's what Come Play is. It's real goddamn forgettable. And I really suggest that if you are into this idea of the imaginary friend who can be seen through technology and all these things, watch Z. I really recommend Z. It's on Shudder. It has a lot more gotcha moments that are... There's a few scenes where kids are put in danger in a lot better ways than Come Play. Like, you actually feel the tension and the actual pain. I recommend Z over Come Play, and Come Play becomes just an afterthought in that sense. I
can't wait to watch that movie now, Z. I will say, though, I thought that the young ensemble in this was pretty good. I'm not 100% certain on how to pronounce the lead actor's name. Aji? I don't know. Robertson. He plays Oliver, the young boy, the main star of the movie, and I think he's quite good. I was also very impressed by Winslow Fegley, who plays like the meaner of the group of friends. I thought he was really good, though, where I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of him. And I think the kids outacted the adults.
I was just going to say, the kids 100% outact the adults. Jillian Jacobs and John Gallagher Jr. I like both of them. They just have nothing to do. Have nothing to do. They're like stone-faced, just, I'm in a horror movie. It's bad. It's not good. I don't think this is a case of not giving them enough to do. I think they both just delivered bad performances, or
you never know if that kind of issue comes from them or some sort of miscommunication with the direction, but like they could have done something with the material that they were given, but wow, do those performances fall painfully flat. It was hard to watch them sometimes.
Even in the most tense moments, you don't feel anything, and especially Jacobs. I like Jillian Jacobs, and her face just doesn't change. Even like no matter how bad the situation is, it's just like, oh no, I should react to this in some way. Here's an emotion.
There was one scene, I think it's even featured in the trailer, where she's standing there holding the kid and Larry's creeping in the background and she's supposed to look scared. And I was just completely taken out of the movie by how she was acting scared. And I got a full dose of noticing that. And it was frustrating to see that.
And I think also worth noting really quickly is like they play Oliver is an autistic child, and it's part of the plot. Like it's worked in, and that's how Larry preys on him, and that's where the loneliness comes from in a way, because he's dealing with his differences and how to figure it out. And like I thought it was good. I thought it was a good representation of that. But like I'm not a subject matter expert, so like I was waiting for other people to react to it. And then like I do have a few Twitter followers who either between family or even like themselves, like having a being diagnosed, like they're all saying this is a really good representation of autism in that character. And also the performance is really well done in that sense. So like that's a good thing, like that horror can address and that horror can bring in. And it's not just a throwaway, because I hate those movies that's like, here's our autistic child. And it's just like a quick throwaway so that it can get one thing done, versus Come Play, which actually makes it a part of the story and gives it value. And it actually explores that.
I'm glad you brought that up. And again, I think the young actor who played Oliver was just like, he was fantastic. And, if I could think of, again, I thought this movie was passable. I wasn't pissed that I had just wasted my time after watching it. But my bigger takeaway is having seen some of these young stars and what they're capable of, and knowing that they're going to be around for a while. And now that I have to pay attention to them. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. Yeah. So,
all right.
I think we get to the numbers portion now.
Dewey Decimal movie scale time. I'll go first on this one. I am giving it 2 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Decimal movie scale. I think there are some moments that work better than others. I thought the creature design was pretty solid, but if it is a complete ripoff of something that I haven't seen, I can't really speak to that. But I thought there were some well-executed scare sequences, but overall the movie felt so flat and familiar and dated to me that I definitely can't recommend it in theaters, and I think it's more of your judgment call based on how we're describing it when it is available at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny because I was going to go with like 2.5, because to me, like 2.5 is just the base value right down the middle. It's a movie. So like that's where I land on it. It's just a straight 2.5. My life has not changed from seeing this movie. I will not remember it next year, probably not even a week from now, but there were a few moments that were cool.
I'm surprised you came in.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, really. All right. That's our review of Come Play. In a more positive spin on things, I did, while we were doing that review, see a comment that I want to pull up. Because I'm just going to keep talking until I can find it, because it just goes to show that there are other really good movies to watch. I can't find it anywhere, but someone name dropped His House because they just watched it. And Matt, I know you gave that movie. I can like review that. I haven't reviewed it yet.
I mean, it's fucking beautiful. You want to do that? Let's do that right now. I wrote my review is online. I wrote my review already, but
excuse I can get to keep talking about His House. Let me just pull up the IMDb page so I have all the information at like a touch, just in case. All right. Yeah. I'm excited about this. I love His House. I mean, I'm just gonna before I even do the synopsis, I'm gonna give away exactly how I feel about the movie. This was one of my absolute favorites at the 2020 Sundance Film Festival. I was lucky enough to see it where it premiered, and also to be able to talk to the director and the 2 stars of the movie, and I was mighty obsessed with it, and I didn't shut up about this movie. And now it's finally here, and when it got its official release on Netflix, I was able to watch it again, And I was so excited when I watched it multiple times, and the bar remained that high. It was as good as I remembered. I'm so impressed. But just in case you don't know what His House is, this is a movie that's now available on Netflix, and it focuses on a couple, Bol and Rial. They're from Sudan. They're seeking asylum in the UK. And after making that life-threatening journey to get to the UK, they're put in a detention center. Eventually, they get a house. And there is some initial hope that they could start a new life for themselves in that home and make it a home. But then they soon discover that that house is haunted. And because of that piss poor system, there is no moving away from this haunted house. They must stay there. And the way that writer-director Remy Weeks takes that very, very real, upsetting scenario and pairs it with the haunted house trope of watching characters stay in a haunted house and wondering why they don't just run away or move out. I think the combination is absolute genius, and that's why this is a perfect example of a horror movie that has so much to say about real-world issues while sticking within the genre. It is brilliant.
I mean, ditto, number one. It's going to be one of my favorite horror. Yeah, no. It's straight up. It rocketed right into my top 3 of the year.
Sweating from that.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it, because I keep talking about the intersection of culture and horror and why it's so important right now more than ever, because not only what's going on in real life, but if you see what's going on in the genre as well, the movies that are standing out recently, the movies that are actually like making a name for themselves are the ones that can reinvent these formulas that we already know. The haunted house formula. How many times can we see the same thing? Family moves into the house. It's haunted. They have to figure out a way out. Fucking overdone. We've seen it so many times in the same way, but you're able to get that haunted house atmosphere and also, number one, make it relevant to daily life in a way for some people that we might not understand. And now we do have a better understanding of it, but also it's the ghosts that they're haunted by. It's not just, there's a reason why they're in the house, and there's a reason why they followed this couple, the refugees, into the UK. And like, these are people trying to get a better life, but all of a sudden you have a horror movie that is, number one, should be talked about the same way that Get Out was immediately. Like, it's honestly the same level, if not better. I honestly think this is a better debut when we're comparing the two. But you're talking about a horror movie that has found a way to talk about survivor's guilt and a way to talk about immigration and these things of like, going to people looking for a better life, but giving up everything they've known in the past to do so. And all of these issues of denouncement of who we are and things of that nature. And it's still a fucking scary horror movie. The way that you're able to do all these things is because you're telling a story from a perspective that no one is telling a story about right now. And again, that is why it's more important than ever in movies like His House and La Llorona and Sputnik. And I can go down the list because there have been so many this year alone. I think His House is the best example of that. It is the most formula-driven and basic story that we have seen over and over again, but it is so good at what it does, not only because it is really good at being a haunted house movie, but because we're hearing a story that we have never heard before, despite having heard this story before.
Yeah. I love how passionate you are about this. I feel like it is one of my favorite feelings in the world when something that I love so much and think is so great is wholly embraced by, someone's opinion that matters to me quite a bit. So I'm happy you dug this one. In addition to His House probably being a significant launch pad for Remy Weeks, who I think is going to go on to do some very, very big things. Holy shit, these 2 lead performances. I think a lot of people who are on this channel probably already know that I'm obsessed with Wumi Masaku. I think she is hands down one of the most talented people out there. She keeps delivering time and time again. She is an absolute delight, and I'm so thrilled with the work she delivers here yet again. And Chope Durisu, he's excellent. And when you look at what this movie calls for them to do, and the range they have to show off, and just the way that the marriage and the relationship bears the weight of the struggle that they're going through, and the sides of the spectrum they're on in terms of how they assess it, the two of them cover every single element of that perfectly. and without spoiling anything, I don't think that script could have brought it all together better than it does. That ending is something that I will never forget, in particular, the visual of it all.
Yeah. If we're not spoiling, obviously we're going to leave it there. Yeah, this movie really just socked me. It's one of those, I keep watching movies in screeners on like a Saturday morning when I have time. And I did it with Spontaneous. So like I watched Spontaneous on a Saturday morning and I'm like sobbing at the ending, the end monologue. And then I did it again with His House because I'm like, oh, it's a Sunday. I got time. It's like 11 a.m. and I watch His House. And I am just like broken down for the rest of the day because that ending, as you have just said, it is so important. Woof. It's so good. It's just so good. And I don't want to say anything else about it because I agree.
Yeah.
We've said what we want to say about it. And there's nothing else that we want to say about it because it's just a really effective horror movie. And it's also a really representative, amazing film that takes a lot of things into consideration that other horror movies do not.
And just technically also, before we wrap this up, this is an incredibly well-shot movie with expert framing across the board. The production design is something else. And the way that Weeks visually crafts his scares is
so good.
Especially effective here. I was just very impressed by all of that.
And that it's a good connection to Lovecraft Country as well, because not only because of the actress, but because you have these moments that you're dealing with the heft of what's going on, you're dealing with the gravity of the situation, and then all of a sudden it'll hit you with that really, really scary moment that you're not ready for, and things coming out of the walls, the ghosts of your past.
Moments have such great weight here too, because they're good visual scares, but all of those visuals also have real emotional heft to them, to the characters who you've come to care about. So like in the scare department, you are covered every single which way. All right, let's do a Decimovie scale this thing. Do you want to go first?
4.5, almost perfect. It's fucking beautiful.
I'm going 4.5 out of 5 Deweys as well. I mean, a lot of you know this. I'm a little sensitive about calling a movie perfect. I've very rarely given perfect scores on one watch, but over time, I wouldn't be surprised if His House was one of those movies that went from that 4.5 into perfection zone eventually because of how highly I think of it right now. So there you guys go. Those are our thoughts on His House. Now what? Do we want a news story to break this up, or do we want to
break a newsie? Throw a newsie in there.
You have to do the newsie.
I have to do the newsie. Okay, which one do you want to do?
Surprise me.
So Welcome to the Blumhouse is not done yet. We have 4 more stories coming in 2021. Thank you, Blumfest. I'm more excited about these than I will say. I mean, hindsight's kind of a key here because I've seen the first 4 and I only like one of them, and 2 of them I really detest. But I feel like these are going to be more thought out. These aren't just going to be Blumhouse dumping what they have. It seems like they've gone out and sought out directors and filmmakers to like come in and actually helm something from the beginning. So we have The Manor oh no, it's not listing the direct. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Nope, I got it now. Never mind. Wrong article. So Bingo is Gigi Saul Guerrero. So immediately you have Gigi coming in the mix, which I'm excited about. Madres is first-time feature director Ryan Zaragoza. First time, so I don't know anything, but it sounds interesting. Black as Night, Marty Legao. Don't know who that is yet, but that's cool. And then, so The Manor is directed, and I apologize if I get the name wrong. Is it Axel Carolyn?
Oh, who just directed one of the best episodes of Bly Manor? Yeah,
Bly Manor, and Sabrina, and a ton of other things, and just I love her to death. So like, I'm excited to see who they're bringing in, across the board. They are going once again POC and female driven voices, so that's a good thing. I think they're actually planning this time versus here are some movies that we had sitting around. So I'm excited for part 2.
How were the other ones though?
Oh, atrocious, except for Nocturne.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
No. Nocturne is the only one I liked.
Okay, I didn't wind up watching them because I was very skeptical about the quality, and I had enough to watch at that point.
The Lie is one of my least favorite movies of the year, hands down.
The Joey King one?
Yes, the Joey King one.
You gotta watch yourself in the horror department. I feel like
It's not really hard. It's hard to...
What else was she in, though? Was she in Slender Man and Wish Upon?
Something like that. Yeah, I think you're right.
She was in Slender Man.
Yeah. No, I think our friend Lindsay, who has been on our live stream before as my Pong partner, wrote a fantastic article about how Blumhouse handles their women creators. And not to point fingers, not to say anything, but I think the article brings a lot of things to light in the fact that the only movies that are getting dumped are their women creators, while the rest of them are...
When you say dumped, are you specifically meaning movies getting put on streaming rather than getting a theatrical release?
Put it on streaming rather quickly and without much thought.
I just can't think of an example of a movie that should have gotten more theatrical love. But what I keep thinking, like, especially right now during COVID, I understand releasing something on a PVOD platform if you don't think it's going to catch on in theaters. Like, we'll get into it, but that's why I think they were comfortable with something like The Craft Legacy getting put on a PVOD.
It's a larger conversation.
Whereas, and you know, this is a different situation. Whereas something like Candyman is going to get pushed and pushed and pushed because I believe that studio thinks they have something special. This is something that was recently brought up on the Collider podcast, and I can't remember if it was Matt or Adam who pointed it out, but I think they're spot on with that assessment.
I agree with that. I'm not throwing everything out there. I just think there are other things to think. Like, he said he was going to do better, and there hasn't been a doing better. We haven't seen anything. It's been 2 years, but yeah. So like, I'm happy to see that Blumhouse is doing part 2 right. Let's put it that way. I'm happy to see that, like, they're actually bringing people in to make these creative stories and start from the beginning again, versus just, we don't know what to do with these. Here you go. I'm happy with that.
I mean, I'm eager to see. I'm a bad judge in this sense because I never watched any of the first films, but maybe I'll watch that one that you said was good.
Nocturne is good. It's about, I like when music and horror come together. So for me, it's a good
Monday.
Well, so this is more classical. It's a pianist who wants to be perfect and finds the Devil's Trill, which is a little musical composition that has demonic powers. So I like that kind of stuff.
All right, I'm into it. We have a super chat. You're going to like this super chat because it's from Ian. And Ian is saying, I can't talk already. Movie rec for either Witch in the Window, Terrified, or Satan's Slaves. I know are you going to pick Satan's Slaves? Because don't you really like that? Also, Perry needs to watch Demon Wind. I do. I'm going to really watch Demon Wind, I swear.
Okay, so here is, I've seen all of these, obviously, because I'm insane. And they're all good. That's actually, it's hard to pick from that. Satan's Slaves is one of my favorite horror movies of the last however many years. So it's going to be my answer. But Witch in the Window is very close to me recommending because it's a quick 80 minutes. It's scary. It gets in and out. And like, we need more 80-minute ghost stories that know that they just want to be a ghost story and just tell it real quick and like not kind of wait around. Mm-hmm. So Witch in the Window still comes highly recommended. Like, I'm not putting those other ones behind. And Terrified also has great moments too. It's of the 3, Terrified is the lowest one, but it's still a positive recommendation for me. So like, Ian, watch all of them, but start with Satan's Slaves, then go to Witch, then go to Terrified.
Sorry if I'm moving around a lot. I finally got like a real desk chair that swivels. And it's just like, it's so comfortable and it's so nice.
Yeah, I can do it too.
I've felt like I've been sitting on a plank of wood for the last 8 months. Anyway, do you want to jump into our next review or do another news story?
Yo, Patrick Wilson's directing an Insidious movie.
Oh, fuck, let's go there. I'm so excited.
Go there. I don't know
what to make of Patrick Wilson directing, but I'm all for it. He's been involved in that franchise for so long. And he's got so much experience being on set. I would like to believe that over the years he's picked up the skill set to be able to direct something himself, especially with how much he's worked with James Wan. And you guys know I'm obsessed with the Insidious franchise. The only Insidious movie I don't like is Insidious Chapter 3. I think The Last Key did a pretty damn good job of bringing the franchise back to form. So when that didn't immediately launch another movie, I was a little disappointed. But now that we're getting Insidious 5 with Patrick Wilson behind the lens, and especially with that story they teased, I am all for it.
Right. It's a continuation. So we go right back to after 2. So it goes 1, 2, and then it's going to be Wilson's as the third, technically. And it picks up, I think it's Ty Simpkins' character in college. So yeah, so
I love that.
we're going right back to the basics. We're going to everything that we know. And I mean, I don't know what to think of it because obviously we have no idea of Patrick Wilson's style as a director. I have no rationale to say he's going to mimic James Wan or I don't know how that's going to go, but I'm excited for everything about it. I hope Patrick Wilson throws musical numbers in there for no reason because he just fucking loves musicals.
What does he sing in Conjuring 2 again? Is it
oh my god, it's Elvis, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Elvis. Someone in the chat's going to say it immediately, but I'm just going to leave the chat to do that.
I do have a feeling that I don't necessarily think the style is going to say James Wan, but I think it's going to be in the style of the Insidious movies more so than anything. I think that's going to be the blueprint for him, and he's going to stick to that. And I would kind of hope that he'd stick to that. It's, especially when you're doing something for the first time, it's nice to have such a strong foundation and framework around you. And I think if he plays into that well, it's gonna bode really well for his potential in the future when maybe he branches out beyond that franchise as a director.
And the only thing I'll say to that is I hope that he has his own style because I know it's very kind of easy to mimic the Wan technique. And I think that's what happened with La Llorona, not the Shudder one, the Curse of La Llorona, the Waniverse one. And I like the idea of James Wan just being a master of what he does and not getting someone coming in going, well, I could do what he does mostly and not getting that same mastery versus give me your take. I want to see your take on this.
I will go the other way on that, and I would actually say that Michael Chaves did good as far as making that movie feel like it was part of the Conjuring verse, which technically it is, but also adding his own camera tricks in there. I feel like with that movie, the visuals were what really kind of sparked some interest more so than anything to me. All right. Agree to disagree on that.
We'll agree to disagree on that. Also, I found out stories about that one that I'm very curious about.
Oh, well, you need to tell me about that when we sign off. We need to squeeze in another review.
Okay. Wait, can I get another beer? Can I just, it's going to take a second. Can I get a beer?
Beer.
Tee it up.
Another beer. Just so you guys know, after we do this review, we're kind of switching gears a little. We're not playing beer pong tonight. And in an effort to embrace Halloween and the spirit of it, we've invited a couple of friends to the show, and they're going to share some spooky stories. So we're going to turn the lights out, and I don't know, or hopefully they'll scare you. We'll see what happens.
I was like, it's still sunny here. I can't turn the lights out. My lights are always on.
I can.
I will light a candle. I'll do my best. But
okay. I'm going to turn the lights out, but
pumpkin.
I'll do pumpkin lights. Ooh, that looks good.
Pumpkin.
All right, Matt, next review. Wait, I'm still on.
That's what you said we were doing. I'm ready.
Close the window. Hold on. I was on Joey King's IMDb page still.
Oh, all right.
Man, browsing while you're live streaming is so
See, that's why I use my phone. I just use my phone for quick hits.
I thought about printing out the IMDb pages tonight for whatever reason, and I'm just like, nope.
I like that.
All right, I'm ready. It is time for a review of The Craft Legacy, the sequel to The Craft. And it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. You watch the trailer and you see the Polaroid of Nancy from the first film for as a box character. So this movie, though, still does follow some of the framework of that 1996 film, specifically with Kaylee Spaney's character, Lily, being new to town. And she doesn't really fit in at school. She's getting picked on and bullied quite a bit. And she winds up becoming a member of this group of friends who practices witchcraft, and they need a fourth to complete their coven. So they adopt her into that, and the four of them practice witchcraft together. That is the general premise of the movie. I will say one of my absolute favorite parts of this movie is what I liked about the first film. I liked all the time we spent with the four of them. I like watching female friendship. and how they support each other. And that was probably one of the big things that I think Zoe Lister-Jones changed in her Craft sequel that I really appreciated. I liked seeing them all support each other and want the best for each other rather than any, like, there wasn't any girl on girl backstabbing this time around. And I think that leaned into what she was trying to focus on for the better. But I think what she was trying to focus on, like, the two things wound up being at odds for me a little bit. If you know, well, I'm trying to like get at it without necessarily spoiling everything, but
I know.
It had two things it was focusing on, and there were times where one served the other, and then there were other times where one took away from the other. Is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think so. I watched the first Craft for the first time right before I watched Craft Legacy. Mm-hmm. So I went in doing both, and I don't find the first Craft empowering by any means. It's literally about them infighting. The whole movie is about these girls going at it. It's not I don't see it as a girl gang flick. It's a witch flick, but they're backstabbing each other the whole time. It doesn't end with them coming back together. It ends with them at odds still. So I agree with you. The thing that has changed the most here is that we now have the Craft Legacy, which goes into the idea that it is now girls against the patriarchy. Like it has changed the idea of the infighting and just the things that happen all the time, but then turning against each other for some reason because it'd be more entertaining if they fought one another with special powers. In the new one, where it is straight up just a patriarchal fight, they introduce that idea. The main villain is masculinity. And, you know, I think it goes a little bit of the Black Christmas route. And like, that's how they position it. They position the film as we're going to tell this story. We're going to do it from the perspective that we want to perspective now. And I think it works better in ways than the previous one because we actually get a collective whole. But at the same time, it's kind of bland. Like, I love the style of the first one. Like, the 90s are like alive in that movie. And this one's kind of just like kind of wafer thin in style.
All right, you kind of dug more into plot than I did, and I think the way you described it is fair. But I will.
I was gonna say I didn't name names. I didn't do anything.
I haven't spoiled anything, but it gives me a little more room to play with. But the first thing is, I don't think the antagonist in this is masculinity. I think it's toxic masculinity, and I think it's toxic masculinity not only directed at the female characters, but also where the one individual that basically embodies that idea is also inflicting pain and struggle on the other men in his life too. And I was glad that that element was represented in the movie. But going back to what you said about the group of friends here is, you know how I was saying in one sense it worked really well, in one sense it didn't. So I liked the idea that there wasn't that much infighting and that it was more about the four of them being supportive of each other in order to overcome the evil that they face and stick together. And the coven increases in power when they're together. I thought all of that played really well against the evil force that they're dealing with. But on the other hand, I felt that by not having, here's where I'm afraid to spoil anything now, by not having the certain occurrences happen in the movie that spark the infighting, we learn less about all four of the members of the coven, and I missed that part of it. Did I do that right? Did I say that right?
I think that plays into this, like, my style comments, because it does feel surface value where the Craft really gets into the elements of witchcraft and it starts like really going deep into the dark magic and all these things. You get those great scenes of bugs and stuff like protruding or like just they're spilling through the bathroom grate and stuff like that. It has fun with the magic, where this one is kind of light on that stuff. It's light on a lot of the more fantasy elements. It's light on the, like, it doesn't feel like a full immersion, where I'm not saying the Craft like is spectacular by any means, but I didn't feel pulled in by the Craft Legacy. And it's great, like, gateway horror in a way. Like, I'm glad we're gearing horror towards younger audiences. This is great. Like, I'm not going to say the girls talked wrong or anything like that, because I don't speak in that generational tone. And I saw there's some horror people that I follow that like are in that generation that like they nailed it. Like, this dialogue is spot on. This is how we talk. So like, kudos in that area. I'm just not into the overall package, I think.
All right. I feel like I wasn't engaged as much, and I feel like the reason for that was what I was basically just saying, was that I don't think there was enough of the four of them. I wanted to spend all the time in the world with them. I understand why other characters needed screen time, but maybe this also speaks to my expectations going into it, but I wanted a Coven movie, and that isn't entirely what this is. And even though I didn't love the movie, I'm hoping that they get a sequel because I would like to know more about the other three characters. And I thought the four of them were pretty solid. We do spend a lot of time with Kaylee Spaney, who I thought was pretty good in the movie. She didn't blow me away as much as she's done in I really liked what she did in On the Basis of Sex, where I think she stood out in a lot of scenes. I don't see that happen as much here, but the other three I thought were great. I wanted more of Zoe Luna. I feel like her character needed a little more. I thought Lovie Simone was great, but Gideon Adlin, again, was the one who I think had the most pop to her that really kept catching my eyes. The individual that I thought ran away with this movie, though, I hope I pronounce his name right. I can't believe I'm shouting out a male actor in a craft movie. That feels very surprising to me. Nicholas, Galitzine. He is so good. I cannot believe what they did with the character of Timmy and how well it worked for me. And I am tempted to say it speaks to his ability as an actor more than how that's worked into the script. He's so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of addressing of ideas that are important, and I'm glad they went that route versus the craft that kind of just went. They addressed very big problems at the time, and they did it in a way that was aggressive and abrasive, and that's just how they wanted to play it. That was an aggressive movie, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I really like how the Craft Legacy, with the Timmy character specifically, you've taken the Chris he was Chris in the first movie, right? The one that gets love struck the whole time. It's Skeet Ulrich's character. Yeah. It's Skeet's character in the first one, and he's just the lovesick, obsessed. I'm like the little dog coming behind you, and that's his whole shtick. But the Timmy character here, which is the one that is possessed, we'll call it, or under the spell. There's a lot more to dig into there. There's a lot more to analyze, and you have a character who is going through it. On the outside, they are the macho bro stereotype that you hate, but then they're under the spell, and the inside is so much more complicated. And I think that's great. But just to your other points too, there's a pivotal moment where the gang stops doing magic and they have their fight. And it feels kind of unearned because these are characters that we didn't really we weren't fully invested in yet. But then that you get to their big breakup and you're kind of wait, what? They're already at that point? How did we get there? So I had issues with there.
I have a lot to say about that, but I feel like it's got to stay for stick to a spoiler.
To get into it, that would be more spoiler territory.
We'll get there. In the meantime, I'm going to give this one 3 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Dust movie scale. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think there are some elements in it that are noticeably weak, but the fact that the movie left me wanting more of this story, and the fact that even though I think that the 4 members of the Coven as a group of friends are a little underserved based on what Zoe Lister-Jones is trying to accomplish in the movie, I don't necessarily think that plays great for this film, but there's enough good in it that made me want another one. And I think that probably speaks to the performances more so than anything. I like this group. I want to see more of them. And I want to see more of what she tees up for a potential third film.
I'd watch another one. I think I'm going to land 2.5 again, though, because the more I actually I was ready to do a 3 and say all right, cool. But the more we talked about it, I'm just kind of, it's just, again, to me, it's the same product. It's just basic in a way, and I just wanted something more. I wanted that to get more love from Blumhouse, honestly, and I'm not talking about marketing. I'm talking about actual budget, and I know the Blumhouse mentality. It's just you have a certain budget.
The budget issue here. I think Zoe Lister-Jones made the most of everything that she had, and there was nothing.
No, I agree. I agree that she made the most. I wanted her to have more, though. I think she deserved more than what she got to actually do that movie, and I would have loved to see it. I don't know. I wanted more.
I don't necessarily think that more money or more resources would have changed anything. I think the story that she was trying to tell, it worked with whatever budget level she was at. That never crossed my mind for whatever reason. All right.
I don't know. I just wanted more from it.
Okay. All right. That's it. That's our craft legacy.
You have some. You have some there.
We've got some super chats here, but I want to bring in our two storytellers here because we have two people in backstage right now. I see them smiling. We've got Max and we've got Chris.
Oh, hey,
hey.
Wow.
Hey. Where are your onesies?
Hey guys, how are you?
I forgot to tell them it was onesie night.
Wow.
I'm sweating.
Hi guys.
Good to see you, Denox. How you doing?
What's up, Maxie?
Max,
Hello.
what's your shirt say?
It says, I'm pregnant.
Did you?
Oh, congratulations.
One kaiju telling the other they're pregnant.
Did you design that shirt?
No, this is my friend Anna Young designed this shirt.
You still design shirts?
I do, yeah. I just designed one last year. It was Tess Thompson from Thor Ragnarok.
I feel like I know what that looks like now that you bring it up.
Yeah, it's the one where she's holding up. It's like that World War II Rosie the Riveter poster, but instead she's holding up a beer.
I remember this.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I want to do this Halloween, so I have a black cat that I got just for the occasion.
Oh.
I mean, that's fair. That works.
I also have these. I have these. I'm not in my real house right now. I'm in my aunt-in-law in Maryland's house, and she has these creepy porcelain dolls right here. So I thought I'd leave those in for ambiance.
I was gonna say you have a very good background going on right now. I am unsettled by it.
Matt,
yeah.
Answer this super chat question with our guests while I just walk to my door and get another beer because it's sitting right outside.
Which one are you gonna put up? Okay, yeah, so that's out. I was literally Googling this, like, so I can actually get a good answer and like what I. So, I mean, do you guys off the top of your head have a favorite?
No, I gotta look. I actually have a couple. I mean, I'm off the top of my head. I'm thinking Hereditary, but best.
So I was gonna say Hereditary. I'm gonna go more recent. I'm gonna try to throw out Hagazusa just in case no one's seen that yet. I'm gonna pimp Hagazusa, which is not on Shudder. I think it was on Shudder for a little bit. Now it's just VOD, and it's an Austrian film specifically, if I believe, and very much of the lo-fi Witch in the Woods kind of vibe. Kind of fits in like the Headhunter kind of world where it's just a character in the middle of nowhere, and you get a lot of good witch vibes from a lower budget, I guess I would say. And the atmosphere is out of bounds. Like what they kind of do in shots and the cinematography. Oh, it's so good. And I know like The Witch is usually the level for that kind of stuff, but I think Hagazusa's got like one little step up on The Witch because there's these great moments where the main character goes into this cave and it's just lined with like ceremonial skulls, and it's just stuff that's there. Like the filmmakers, it was like a thesis film. If I'm not, I think I'm correct here. I think it was a thesis film for the director, and it's stunning. It looks so good. So I want to go Hagazusa just because if you have not seen Hagazusa, see Hagazusa.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Black Sunday, the Mario Bava movie, the classic. I believe it's 1960. It was actually I think it was the first post World War II horror film made in Italy, and so it draws a lot from like the older Universal horror films, the black and white ones, and it's got, of course, Barbara Steele in her iconic role as this evil witch who and she also plays the modern day sort of version of herself. So there's like two Barbara Steeles in this movie. It's great. It's like it's got like it was Mario Bava's first real movie, and so it was him just like using all the tricks in the book that he knew, and it's so atmospheric. It's like Tim Burton has robbed this movie blind. I've actually talked to him about it before. He's such a huge fan of Bava. So like, you know, if you're a fan of gothic horror, like Tim Burton, like the whole kind of thing, Sleepy Hollow, that kind of vibe, definitely check out Black Sunday.
Chris, did you pick one?
Yeah, I guess, you know, it's funny. I mean, off the top of my head, I was thinking Hereditary, but probably if I went a little bit further back, I'd say, although I don't think it's necessarily a horror movie, is The Witches of Eastwick. I do love that movie. It was a movie that I loved as a child. Jack Nicklaus is great. Cher is really good at it. Michelle Pfeiffer, Susan Sarandon. I think the reason why though is because he's very present right now. I think the reason is probably because a couple years ago I took some really strong weed butter, can of butter, right? Like way too much, right? I was supposed to take a little bit, and I took way too much, and so flick around the channels and Witches of Eastwick was on, and I was stoned out of my mind watching it, and it was amazing. Like I was like, wow, this movie's brilliant. I don't know if it would necessarily hold up quite as well as it did, but I remember watching it. I'm like, man, the only person who really knows how to act in this movie is Cher. Cher's the best. Cher's the better actor than any of them. Anyway, I do really like Witches of Eastwick. I like the score a lot by John Williams. George Miller directed it. The fact that he could direct Witches of Eastwick, Babe, Pig in the City, and the Mad Max movies, and then Lorenzo's Oil is like he's pretty versatile. There's that
versatility, baby.
Yeah, and then actually, funny enough, I saw Rosemary's Baby for the first time last week. I'd never actually seen it before for a movie buff. A guy writes about film for a living. It was one of my blind spots. Yeah.
I just saw The Omen for the first time too. So
The Omen, really? Oh, you see, I watched all those again a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have our blind
The Craft. I was gonna say the Craft for me was a blind spot. So when I watched like the original before I watched the remake, like that was a one for me. I've been using this lock-in for blind spots. I've been trying to cover everything I can.
When I was in high school, but it's funny on my podcast, The Beard and the Bald, we're doing New Movie November, where we're all supposed to just watch new movies the whole month, and there's a lot of gaps that I have. Surprisingly, I've never seen, except for Jason X and Freddy vs. Jason, an actual Friday the 13th movie.
Good luck with
I hadn't.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I hadn't until previously, and then I wrote an article on the entire franchise, so I watched them all on the weekend. And when it's an experience to watch them all back to back. Just
if only there were a giant box set that you could get with all of them in.
I got the box set. I have the giant one sitting on my. Also, if I'm going to draw a podcast, my podcast, Certified Forgotten, we have a Patreon tier where you can make me review whatever you want. Oh. So Amelia Emberwing in the chat has been texting me saying, "Say Practical Magic, you traitor," because she made me watch Practical Magic and review it, which I found delightful. So Practical Magic is delightful. It's
Practical Magic's real good. My answer to Alex's question, though, would obviously be Hocus Pocus, because Hocus Pocus is amazing.
Never seen Hocus Pocus.
Before we let you guys tell your stories, Matt, Caleb's here.
Yeah, so what's up?
I'm mighty concerned about this week in fantasy football because Watson is on bye, and so I played Bridgewater, and he only got me 13 points, and he took like a bad hit. There was a reason why he lost some time in the game, but it was yeah. I don't like plays like that. He's really talented, but the fact that he only scored 13 fantasy points is not in my favor this week.
Are we talking real football, or is this some kind of like nerd fantasy thing?
Well, fantasy football.
We do. It's fantasy football for us, but real football. I made quick work of Mr. Walkuski last week. He was no obstacle for me, so we move on.
But
we move on to the next week.
Players are on bye. Like all my big players are on bye, and then the only remaining big players I have are all injured. Like freaking Godwin. What happened?
I know.
I have to apologize for my cat. He's been very clingy since quarantine. It's funny. When I was young, I always wanted to be James Bond, but then I grew up to be Blofeld, bald guy in charge of a site with a cat best friend. So who's always sitting around ordering people around. So I have turned out to be Blofeld. So I think
congratulations, number one.
Yeah, he's just gonna jump on and off the whole time, probably.
I'm gonna enjoy that. All right.
Yeah.
How are we gonna do this?
Who has the most amount of time? Who wants to go first and potentially leave first? Or are you both hanging with us?
Yeah, do you mind? Maybe I'll go first. Actually, I could stay for a bit, but yeah.
Wait.
I mean, you're here. You're stuck with us. Like first you're here as well. This is host. Like you don't get to leave. Like you die if you leave. I'll read it out loud for Perry. That's fine. This year for Halloween, I watched the Evil Dead movies, all the Friday the 13th movies, and the Conjuring Universe movies. Freddy vs. Jason, underrated. I agree.
I still need to see it. It's I have never seen any of the New Line era Jason movies. I've only seen the original Paramount 8.
And I've only seen
I broke the internet one day because I posted my ranking after I did that marathon. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna post my letterbox ranking just as a fun thing I do, and I put Jason X like high, and literally like even okay. So the Freddy vs. Jason screenwriters were kind of like, says a lot about you how high you rank Jason X on your fucking kill rank or like your Friday 13th rank, and I'm like, you wrote Freddy vs. Jason, fuck you, like you can't talk shit to me.
That one went through a tortured history, though. Another plug. We do this show called "What the Fuck Happened to."
Just drop.
Yeah, and we did an episode that I narrated on Freddy vs. Jason. That like was a really tortured production history. But the director of that movie has done some great movies, though. Like besides Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh yeah, no, that's Ronnie.
Yu.
Yeah, Bride
of Chucky.
I really like
Chucky's
Bride of Chucky. That's the only
perfect
childhood
movie.
movie I really like. Bride of Chucky and Seed. I like them. The campier and the gayer they get. I really like them. and then he's a great guy too. Don Mancini is a fun interview. And
Mancini's dream.
And then he did The Bride with White Hair. Bride with White Hair 1 and 2. Those are classic Hong Kong movies.
Well, that was I talked to Mancini.
I'm playing with my lighting.
Sorry, I was gonna say I talked to Mancini about like bringing Ronnie in. I don't know if I can make this darker. I can't make it darker. Like literally, it's 5:30 for me, so this is just where I am right now.
But I feel like it'd be too dark.
How can you not control the sun?
Because I haven't harnessed my abilities to their full potential yet.
How's this? This is spooky.
I'll take it.
Kind of, yeah. It actually there's like a lighting right on you. It's kind of perfect.
It's better than Matt's.
I'm just gonna leave the lights on because people really need to see these Victorian ladies.
To see that horrific shit.
Yeah, it's funny because I look at these and I'm like, this must be how some people see my like sideshow statues. You know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Spooky figurines.
All right, Chris, you're up first.
Okay, so I have 2 stories. Okay, one's very short, and one is I get they're both fairly short. Anyway, the first one, okay, there's this virus, okay, that people hear about and nobody thinks it's real, and then eventually it makes its way over to North America, and we're stuck inside for like months at a time. Nobody knows when it's gonna end. You're stuck with your.
Oh wait, no. This is the plot of Songbird, right? This is the plot of that movie, Songbird. That's where you got this from. Okay.
So that's what. And then there's this crazy orange guy that's president. It's just nuts. Yeah.
He's not even your president. You don't get to make those.
No.
jokes.
No. But my partner, she's American. So and she just voted. So for Biden.
I voted Kanye, obviously.
Kanye. It was on the ballot because she got the ballot because she votes by mail, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was like I didn't realize he was going to be on every ballot.
No, I laughed my ass off. He really was on the ballot, and I was like, "How do I eliminate this from my life? I don't even want to see this on my ballot."
So I do have a real story though, and I have to give a shout out to one of the guys that I work with, one of the writers, Jimmy O. You guys know Jimmy O?
Good guy.
Jimmy Oster.
So horror is really truly one of my blind spots. That's why like a lot of the movies that I haven't seen are horror. I'm more of like a drama guy or an action guy. But I was talking to Jimmy. I agreed to do Perri's thing right away because it was Perri. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But then I was like, well, I don't have any stories. And then I talked to Jimmy, who's a big horror buff, and he told me you got to check out this site called Creepypasta, which I'd never heard of before. And we even do a show about it on the horror side of the site. But I just, that goes to show you how great my oversight is. And he was like, yeah, you should look up Creepypasta. So I looked up Creepypasta and I saw this story that apparently is based on a true story. It's not terrifying, but it's creepy. But it's about a girl that or a guy, I don't know who it is. Actually, I just see it as a girl, but maybe it was a guy who walks alone, who likes to walk the city alone at night overnight, and kind of start recording with me because I used to live right in downtown Montreal. I used to do that all the time. I used to go on these really long walks at like 2-3 in the morning sometimes when I couldn't sleep because I worked weird hours because I worked overnights a lot of the time. So on the weekend I'd be up all night. And I would just take these aimless long walks and through like right through the downtown core while the city was asleep. And I always thought it was kind of peaceful, right? But there's a creepy side to it too. So here's the story. It's called.
Wait! Before you say it, is this the Smiling Man?
It is the Smiling Man. Did you choose?
I know this one. This is a good one, guys. Get ready.
By the way, Lewis, I see you.
Okay, so the Smiling Man. About 5 years ago, I lived downtown in a major city in the U.S. I've always been a night person, so I would often find myself bored after my roommate, who was decidedly not a night person, went to sleep. To pass the time, I used to go for long walks and spend the time thinking. I spent 4 years like that, walking alone at night, and never once had a reason to feel afraid. I always used to joke with my roommate that even the drug dealers in the city were polite, but all that changed in just a few minutes one evening. It was a Wednesday, somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, and I was walking near a police-patrolled park quite a ways from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic and almost no one on foot. The park, as it was most nights, was completely empty. I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment when I first noticed him. At the far end of the street, on my side, was the silhouette of a man dancing. It was a strange dance, similar to a waltz, but he had finished each box with an odd forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking, headed straight for me. Deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the sidewalk to pass me by. The closer he got, the more I realized how gracefully he was moving. He was very tall and lanky, and wearing an old suit. He danced closer still until I could make out his face. His eyes were open and wide, head tilted back slightly, looking off at the sky. His mouth was formed in a painfully wide cartoon of a smile. Between the eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer. I took my eyes off of him to cross the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back, and then I stopped dead in my tracks. He had stopped dancing and was standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He was facing me, but still looking skyward, smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. I started walking again, but kept my eyes on the man. He didn't move. Once I had put about half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment to watch the sidewalk in front of me. The street and sidewalk ahead of me were completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to see where he had been standing to find him gone. For the briefest of moments, I felt relieved until I noticed him. He had crossed the street and was now slightly crouched down. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance and the shadows, but I was certain he was facing me. I had looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it was clear that he had moved fast. I was so shocked that I stood there for some time staring at him. And then he started moving towards me again. He took giant, exaggerated tiptoed steps, as if he were a cartoon character sneaking up on someone, except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say that at this point I ran away or pulled out my pepper spray or my cell phone or anything at all, but I didn't. I just stood there, completely frozen, as the smiling man crept towards me. And then he stopped again, about a car length away from me, still smiling his smile, still looking to the sky. When I finally found my voice, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What do you want?" in an angry, commanding tone. What came out was a whimper. What? Regardless of whether or not humans can smell fear, they certainly can hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. But he didn't react to it at all. He just stood there, smiling. And then, after what felt like forever, he turned around very slowly and started dance walking away, just like that. Not wanting to turn my back to him again, I just watched him go on until he was far enough away to almost be out of sight. And then I realized something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the decent shape of him grew larger and larger. He was coming back my way, and this time, he was running. I ran too. I ran until I was off the side road and back onto a better lit road with sparse traffic. Looking behind me then, he was nowhere to be found. The rest of the way home, I kept glancing over my shoulder, always expecting to see his stupid smile, but he was never there. I lived in that city for 6 months after that night, and I never went out for another walk. There was something about his face that always haunted me. He didn't look drunk. He didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane. And that's a very, very scary thing to see. The end.
You should read audiobooks.
Thank you.
You have a voice for it.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of creepy. I mean, it wasn't like, it's not terrifying. The story that I originally wanted to read was Guts by Chuck Palahniuk. I don't know if any of you have ever read it. But Laura said it was
that's like the most like story.
Yeah.
Okay, so like,
I think I screamed audibly the first time I read it.
Yeah.
but like that one fucks me up because I lived in Brooklyn for fucking 7 years, and how many nights did I walk home intoxicated?
No.
And it's like 2 a.m. and sometimes I had a really long walk, and it's like you take for granted the moments when you're hammered drunk walking through New York City and feeling invincible, and you're like, I'm fine, this is great. And then you do it sober one night and you realize all the weird shit you walk by that you don't take into consideration. So it's like you have those moments where you just walk by and it's all like the smiling man, the idea of someone you don't know what they're going to do, and it's 2 a.m. and there's no, like, you don't know if this guy's high, drunk, anything like that. Like, that is such an ingrained fear in me now. Like,
you don't know what's waiting for you up there sometimes, you know. And I remember once, I mean, I like I said, I used to do this all the time, and I used to walk home from where I worked, which was also downtown. I was an overnight radio guy. I used to do traffic reports and weather reports overnight, and I would walk home at weird times, and often, you know, people would be drunk out of clubs or what have you. But there was this one time that was really unnerving where I was just walking down the street and I just passed this guy and the guy just shoved me like that randomly, just like that.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
Shit like
and
that.
it was like, just boom, shoved me. And I remember, like, I was at the time, I was like in my early 20s. So I was feeling very aggressive, you know, and I had my back up against the wall and I started cussing him out and stuff like that, you know, like almost wanting to fight him. But then I looked at the guy's face and he was fucking nuts. And then I was like, see you later.
And like, that's who you don't mess with. You don't mess in those situations because it's like,
clearly,
you don't know what they're capable of. And I lived in a good area, but like every once in a while there was the report of like someone getting pushed onto the subway or someone getting accosted at 3 a.m. And it's like, there were nights where it's like, I was walking home 15 minutes before that. And I told I'm sure my mom is listening to this right now.
What was that? What was that, Perri?
There's still a lot of that.
I mean, one night I was just going for a drink after work, and this was early. This was like at 5 or 6 in the evening. It was light out and there were a lot of people out. And there was this woman who walked up to a girl that was in the street, took her and threw her out in front of a taxi cab, trying to kill her. And the woman was crazy. She was like, she was clearly like had escaped from asylum, had no idea who this girl was, didn't know her at all. And then we all kind of like, you know, were like trying to hold her off. And every time she got free, she went for the girl, grabbed her by the hair and tried to throw her out in front of the car again. Like she was crazy, wanted to kill this person. And yeah, I mean, we called the police and the police ended up, you know, arresting her. And this poor girl was traumatized. But you never know. Like, that's the thing. You never know who's out there. And some people, you know, I mean, people are mentally ill, but it can be crazy sometimes. That's the thing, the fear of the unknown, you know. And that's,
I'm gonna try to light a candle really quick too. Sorry.
So the smiling man did hit a chord for me.
It is. It's creepy imagery.
That's a classic creepypasta.
Has that ever been adapted?
I'm sure I think it's been done like as an amateur short film before, but I don't know if it's been done professionally.
There's something scarier than a smiling man too.
Well, no. What's Smiley? Because Smiley was a YouTube movie. Like a bunch of YouTubers made a movie, and I'm pretty sure Smiley was based.
I think that's what I'm picturing. Like, I think I could picture the poster where it's like a stitched smile or something.
Yes, yeah. It's like the face mask of like a flesh mask, but it's like the stitchy smile. Also, I'm going to try to light this candle that is like marked with like different kind of, I don't know. I got it for a movie.
Did you get that at a yoga retreat?
Or Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah, they told me that it was totally fine. I shouldn't worry about anything.
Oh, that looks good.
So I'm going to try to.
When you were telling that story, all I wanted to say was history over and over. Have you guys ever seen Head Count?
No.
Head Count. It's on. You can stream it on Netflix, and it's basically a creepypasta-ish story.
Yeah.
That's passed around, and if you say that, Matt knows, because after we saw Head Count
at Overlook, she wouldn't shut the fuck up at it.
I ran around New Orleans saying history over and over. I can't help it. It's really good.
She was just like she'd whisper history to random people. I'm like, what are you doing? We're like,
everybody's got stories, though, you know, like whether they're
stop trying to make history happen.
Yeah, you can't make history happen.
Do you know that? Will you say it 5 times?
No, I'm not an idiot. I've seen enough horror movies. You summon history. It's like Candyman in a way, but Also, I'm gonna pop a blueberry Brazilian guava malt shake IPA that is 11%. So let's go.
I'm drinking a White Claw. We only just got these in Canada like recently, and they're really good.
Congratulations! We have 17 different kinds of hard seltzer now.
We only had black cherry.
Matt needs to know that I'm drinking a very elegant Belgian white, Belgian style wheat ale. It is a real.
Belgian Moon. Yeah, of course, yeah.
So okay, so for Max and Chris,
I'm drinking
the joke.
Watermelon sparkling water.
Also, I love Waterloo, by the way. Waterloo's a great kind. Perry's ongoing joke is that she's never drank anything but a Blue Moon on this
not true.
stream.
That's
We
not
started
true.
this in May. We're over 20 episodes, and she has never drank anything.
I drank the Tavour beers, and I drank the fistful of bourbon. I just have
a fistful of bourbon.
I buy giant Costco-sized boxes of Blue Moon because I love it. So I drink what I love.
Also, Blue Moon pumpkin is delicious. So that is.
Christy told me she bought that Blue Moon Light version that you were talking
Yeah, the sky, whatever.
Christy, if you've had that, yeah, wait, here. She's right here. What do you think of it? I want to know. All right. Max, you're up.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to stay. If you have to go, though, let us know.
I can stay for another one. I can stay.
Okay.
So, also, hold on, wait. Perry, we might have one more. I told Jenny that if she can get here in time, that she will be able to read hers. So
keep an eye out.
Yeah. So
before you start a long story, there's a slight echo on your end. I wonder if it might be cleared up if you just turn down your volume while you do your story.
Turn down my volume. Okay.
That sounds.
Is that better?
Yeah, I don't hear the echo anymore.
Yeah, echo's
Okay.
gone.
All right. So, unlike Chris, I actually am like very, very versed in the whole world of creepypasta and stuff. And posted a lot of my fiction.
I have a guy that works for me that's first. I'm just stealing from him. So
Classic white dude.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I write a lot of stuff for Reddit's No Sleep forum. I've actually been on the No Sleep podcast before. I've had one of my stories produced on there, which is pretty cool.
I've just gotten into reading "Am I the Asshole," which I never read before, and it's quite. I can waste
a different kind of horror, right?
I mean, I find that scary. Some of that stuff.
What is "Am I the Asshole"?
Oh! If you haven't taken a deep dive into "Am I the Asshole" yet,
we could have a whole night of reading "Am I the Asshole." That'll be fine. It's people asking the internet if they are the asshole, and they are always the asshole.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Max, continue. Chris.
All right. So the story I'm reading tonight is a Max Avery original, and I thought it would be apropos, given that we are just a few days away from a very frightening, scary election. This is a semi-fictional accounting of my time working at a phone bank. So,
like telemarketing?
Huh?
Like telemarketing?
Like telemarketing, exactly. Oh. Yeah.
I won't ask you
so
questions.
Here it is.
A
night at the phone bank.
What do you mean by this?
All right. Anyone who's ever worked a phone bank probably has some experience calling the wrong person at the wrong time. But believe me when I tell you that it's nothing compared to the experience I had in the fall of 2015. I'm currently a senior at a Northern Virginia high school, and last year, when I was a junior, my AP government teacher told us that one of her students, a girl named Karina, had a mom who was running as a Democrat in a local election to be on the county board of supervisors. The teacher offered extra credit to anyone who volunteered 12 or more hours with the campaign, which I jumped on. Now, before you cast partisan judgment on me, just know I consider myself completely politically apathetic and couldn't even tell you what a county board of supervisors does if you put a gun to my head. Democrats and Republicans notwithstanding, this was a purely mercenary chance to boost my GPA with college applications just around the corner. Karina signed me up for an evening slot on a phone bank pestering local registered voters while they were eating dinner, watching TV, and whatnot. I had my mom drop me off at 5 p.m. before her night shift as a nurse at the nearby county hospital and told her I would try to get a ride back with one of my classmates. The phone bank was in this nondescript 2-story brick building off an unlit wooded road about half a mile from anything of note in our neighborhood. With its tinted windows and lack of signage, it was exactly the kind of place you would expect some sketchy telemarketing to go down. After ringing the bell, they buzzed me in, and I walked up to the second floor. And an overweight, depressed-looking campaign guy with bags under his eyes named Peter met me and took me inside the call center. A few other kids from my class were there, including Karina, of course, as well as some older volunteers, maybe 8 or 9 altogether. Not a huge turnout. There were 3 or 4 long fold-out tables with 6 phones per table, although Peter informed us we wouldn't actually be using any of them. Nowadays, political campaigns use a call routing service that automatically lines up who we talk to electronically. We sign into the service on our laptops or tablets, and it connects our personal cell phones anonymously to our next victim, so to speak. A queue of names and numbers of registered voters is on our screens next to a pre-prepared script, which went something like this. Hi, is blank available? My name is blank, and I'm a volunteer with the Virginia Democratic Party. Do you support blank for County Board of Supervisors? If yes, that's great. Blank will fight for the working families of our community and put Virginia first. If no, okay. If maybe, unsure, undecided, okay, I understand. Just so you know, I'm supporting blank because I believe our county board needs blah, 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 blah. After each call ended, there was a quick form we had to fill out to record if the person we talked to pledged to vote for Our Lady. Yes, no, maybe. And if there was a no response, we had to choose from several options. Voicemail, refused, call back, wrong number, or disconnected, deceased, or language barrier. As soon as I connected to the routing service and started making calls, I found that most of the numbers it was dialing for me fell under the wrong number or disconnected umbrella. Sometimes it would be that screechy fax machine dial tone, or I'd wind up calling a law office or CVS pharmacy or something. If I learned anything, it's that voter registration lists are outdated as hell. The folks I did wind up chatting with were overall pretty friendly, or at least put on a polite front to my intrusive canvassing. One of my favorites told me to hold on, put the phone down, and yelled, "Candace, there's a white boy on the phone for you." Another guy decided to be a prankster, and after my initial "I'm a volunteer with the Virginia Democratic Party," went into a faux evil villain laugh. "Ha ha ha, I'm a Republican," then hung up. I have to admit, it made me chuckle. Once I got into a groove, the time went by, only stopping occasionally to use the bathroom or grab a Diet Coke from the fridge. About 3 hours into what was supposed to be a 4-hour session, my classmates decided to bail. I felt bad for Peter, since there were only a couple people left doing the phone banking, plus I needed the hours. I asked Peter if he could give me a lift home if I stayed until 9 p.m., and it seemed to make his day. So I told my friends to split and I'd see them in class. A few of them made some homoerotic gestures directed at Peter. I just laughed it off. Pulling one last Diet Coke from the fridge, I hunkered down for 60 more minutes of calls. By 8:30, it was just myself and Peter doing the dialing, and our tones were starting to sound pretty robotic at this point. There's only so many ways to read the same boring script with gusto. Around 8:35, the queue on the tablet said it was dialing a number for a Greg Stokes. I launched into my usual spiel. "Hi, I'm a volunteer with the Virginia Democratic Party. Is Greg Stokes available?" No reply. Labored breathing could be heard, like the man on the other end was running. Then, after a few moments, a piercing, high-pitched male voice with a crack to it came through, the man sounding confused and winded, as if he'd just been punched in the solar plexus. "Can you help me? I'm very weak," the man struggled to say. "I'm sorry, do you need help, sir?" I replied. "Weak. I'm very weak. I need help," he wheezed out. "Mr. Stokes? Is this Greg Stokes? Where are you right now, sir?" I asked, my heart beginning to race. "Do you need me to call an ambulance?" "They're coming. They're coming for him," he gasped. Is someone chasing you, sir?" I asked. By this point, Peter had turned around and noticed the air of panic in my current call. He held a finger up to let me know he'd be off his own call in a minute. "Not me. Him. They know what I did. the man enigmatically uttered. What did you do, Mr. Stokes? Are you in danger? I continued to probe. I stole it! I stole it! He said, getting more agitated. From Quantico. Moved it with my mind. I can move things with my mind. I hid it in the woods. At this point, I relaxed because I knew this had to be some kind of sick prank. Quantico was clearly referring to the well-known Marine Corps base located not too far from where I lived. But then the stuff about him moving stuff with his mind was just ridiculous. Okay, guy, that's a good one. Haha. You can move stuff with your mind. This is the end of my shift, so I'm going to hang up now, okay? I heard nothing from the other end except his labored breathing. I'm hanging up, Mr. Stokes, okay? I repeated. Thank you for supporting the Virginia Democratic Party. Suddenly, my tablet on the table moved independently, about 6 inches in one direction, knocking over my Coke, then 6 inches in another direction. I jumped in my seat. I'm really close. Soon. You see me. Please. Help. He squealed before disconnecting. I felt all the blood drain from my face. Peter hung up with the person he was on with and approached me. You got a wily one, Peter asked, sensing my panic. Just calm down. Tell me what happened. I hadn't realized I was breathing rapidly. My first instinct was to rush over to the window that shone out to the small parking lot in front. Peter nudged in next to me to look out the window as well. It was dark out, nothing but trees and Peter's Honda illuminated by the building's external lights. Without taking my eyes off the entrance, I explained that there might be a disturbed person heading to our building. Without missing a beat, Peter called 911 and told them to send a squad car to our location. As he stayed on the line with the operator, I noticed the figure of a tall, blonde man, about 40 years old, and wearing a dirty collared shirt and jeans, hobbling quickly through the entrance and into the parking lot. How did he locate us? He stopped momentarily, and his eyes fixed to me in the window. As soon as my eyes met the man's, the power to the building shut off, leaving Peter and I in utter darkness. Peter's cell phone had died as well. Not just the lost connection with 911, the whole phone had lost power. The police were already on their way, though. We heard the glass doors downstairs shatter and footsteps outside our door. Neither of us moved. At the opposite end of the dark room, the door opened and a figure walked towards us with great deliberation. Peter picked up a chair and started swinging it at the shadowy figure, but the tall man grabbed him by the throat and threw him to the floor. A small bellow came from Peter before his head cracked against the ground, then nothing. Running on adrenaline, I rushed towards the figure and plowed into him with all my body weight, slamming him to the floor. I felt his chest give way immediately under my weight, as if his bones were made of styrofoam. No sound, no breathing, nothing. The man switched off as quickly as he turned off our power, if he had indeed done that with his mind. I heard police sirens and saw flashes of blue and red pour through the window. It illuminated the face of the unidentified man underneath me, whose skin looked taut, utterly pale, and almost decomposed on close inspection. It was as if Greg had been dead for a week or more. I turned to see Peter on the floor next to me, also not breathing. His throat was one massive bruise. It was only days later that I tried to contemplate how a man like the Greg creature, who was so completely weak, whose bones shattered nearly on contact, could have crushed Peter's windpipe in less than a second. At least that's my perception of what happened, since I fled the scene only a few moments after examining both bodies. I ran down and met the 2 police vehicles in the parking lot, explained to them as best I could the situation, and watched as a pair of them went up to the 2nd floor. About a half hour later was when the first unmarked FBI vehicle showed up, followed by a second and third, and, well, I lost count after a while. There were at least 6 or 7 black sedans parked in the lot and down the wooded street leading in, not to mention the ambulance. I asked one of the suited men why there weren't 2 ambulances, and they said only one body had been on the 2nd floor. That man was later identified as Gregory William Stokes. a local antique dealer who hadn't been seen since a day or two before his vehicle was recovered in the woods 2 miles outside of Quantico Marine Corps Base. I obviously have no clue what happened to Peter, and never even heard his name brought up in news reports about the incidents in the days that followed. Karina's mother's campaign acknowledged that a man named Peter had worked for them, but could not account for his whereabouts after that night, stating that he had resigned from the campaign. I didn't even know his last name. I was barely questioned by authorities and had little to tell my parents or classmates beyond the boilerplate explanation that had been given to me, that a vagrant had broken into the phone bank and I had subdued him. All the counseling in the world couldn't help me shake the thought of Peter laying there dead 1 minute, then vanished into thin air the next. I often wonder if whatever entity controlling his human shell is out ambling through the woods, using that item it supposedly stole from the base, whose purpose I couldn't even begin to speculate on. Stole with its mind. In a way, the only real closure I got from this whole incident was the next afternoon when I was at home on a sick day from school with my mom, lounging around in a sort of stupor. I pulled my tablet out, turned it on, and realized I had never logged out of the campaign's call routing service. 15 hours after my call with whatever Greg Stokes was, the post-call questionnaire screen was still up. Under the no response section, I checked off deceased.
Whoa, very good.
That's mighty impressive, Max.
Very done. Very well
And
done.
also does not surprise me one bit.
The only thing I don't believe though is that you were in high school 5 years ago.
That's the made up part.
I knew you were going to be one of the best people to ask to do this.
Guys, unfortunately, I have to run. My pizza just arrived. I'll see you later.
Enjoy. Happy
Enjoy.
You and
Halloween,
Christy
Chris.
just had pizza at the same
Okay.
time.
Happy Halloween. Bye.
Yeah, you're good at this. I'm not shocked by this one bit. I'm glad Perry asked you.
Yeah.
Max is one of the most creative people I know.
Aw.
This really doesn't surprise me at all.
Right back at you guys.
I mean, I can't.
Yeah, no, it's fun to write stories for No Sleep because it's like, you get to kind of, become another person. You're supposed to be writing it from, the point of, it's supposed to be a true story. So that's what makes it kind of fun to kind of,
I need to venture into that more than I do.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys listen to the No Sleep podcast ever?
I have before, but I'm like not a regular listener by any means, but I feel like I should be.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, the problem is it's very long these days. Like it's the free version's like an hour plus, and I think the paid version's like 2.5 hours each episode. So it's a lot to get through.
It's a lot.
I have a hard enough time recording my own podcast, let alone listening to other ones. That is the point we're at.
Since being home and not being out and about as much, I feel like my podcast listening has, been slashed significantly.
Yeah, isn't it ironic that the time when everybody is now home to make all these podcasts that no one's listening to them anymore?
Yeah, really. You're getting around to
Talk to me about it. Talk to me about it, Max.
Yeah, I mean, we do a podcast too. We do a new me and Christy Puchko do a podcast. Yeah. Perry's on the next episode. Yeah.
Sean O'Connell was like disturbingly good at that.
Yeah. We just played the Mondo Leonard Maltin game.
Matt, I was so bad. Like
I just bought Cinephile. So I'm gonna get better at Cinephile, and then I'll move on to the Leonard Maltin game to get better at that.
If we ever play the Leonard Maltin game against each other, my answer is the most literal interpretation of whatever the title is.
Yeah. No, I know that. I know you, Perry.
I feel like every single time all of you knew what was mine.
I think you did a lot of horror ones. I remember that.
There was I forget what it was, but there was one in particular that involved a baby. Like what was it? It was a babysitter, and the title was something like it was "Shh, quiet, please."
Yeah, that's right.
Well, wait, the Maltin one is synopsis based, right? If I'm correct.
Yes. Yeah, but it's all movies that like you've never freaking heard of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and if you have heard of it, you have to tell you have to be honest and say, hey, I know what this is, and then then they'll pick a different one. But yeah, I had never heard of any of the movies
Neither have I.
that Chrissy picked when we did this.
So do we want to end with like some random Halloween questions and just kind of like doing like a Halloween icebreaker?
We could do a mix of the icebreakers, and I see like people in the chat want to jump in. So if any of you guys want to throw in a question as we do these, like now is the time to do it. Start adding those questions to the chat, and I'll bring them in randomly.
Yes. Hi, chat. Talk to us. Talk to us about your Halloween questions. Hi,
bring
Mike
it.
Porter.
Hello.
What do you want us to answer?
Give
Here's
us
the first
your
one.
icebreaker ones.
Yeah. Why are Reese's the best Halloween candy? Just
Was that-
definitive.
That wasn't on.
It wasn't a question. I know that was just me asserting my dominance because Reese's is the best Halloween candy.
So like Reese's peanut butter cups we're talking about, right?
Absolutely. Reese's peanut butter cups. If you're not getting the pumpkins in your trick or treat basket, you're doing it wrong.
Max, is that your favorite Halloween candy?
I don't have much of a sweet tooth. I'm more of a Twix guy though. I gotta say.
But right or left though? Right or left?
Legit though, in a lot of studies that I was reading, or whatever one study popped up on TV, I feel like Twix was something like number 2, and it surprised me how high up on the list it was. Like I thought,
Twix is good.
like I don't know, like Reese's peanut butter cups is obviously number 1, but after that, it would either be like a Kit Kat bar or a Snickers bar. You know,
Yeah. A lot of people have attitude about Twix. They're like, "Are you a cookie? Are you a candy? Make up your mind."
Why are they all Italian though?
Yeah,
Now I feel like you're just being racist.
here's my.
I'm half Italian. I got it.
Fair, fine.
Italian.
What are your favorite horror movies?
Oh my
Scream.
God.
I'm too obvious. Scream. It's my
Are
second.
we doing gun to the head 1?
If you know, like your absolute best right now.
Absolute best.
Favorite. Yeah, top of the list.
It's I think it's always Bride of Chucky. I think like that is my go-to. It's just Bride of Chuck.
What you got, Max?
You know what's funny is like I have like the biggest collection of like totally weird, totally obscure horror films, 60s, 70s, and like honestly, my favorite one is still The Shining. Because it is one of those movies that like it's the rare horror movie that gets more frightening and more layered and more fascinating the more you watch it.
How do
I'm
you
still getting more from it every time I see it.
How do you feel about The Shining the movie versus Shining the book?
I've read the book, and the movie is better. Sorry, book fans.
Ooh,
I read the book before I saw the movie.
I really do love the movie and hold it in very high regards, but I prefer the story in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like the problem is like the movie is up here, the book is here. That's okay. Stephen King is this, and Kubrick is this, and I think this is good once or twice, but this you can engage with a lot more. And Stephen King tends to, go for just like some real off the wall stuff that is not, in my opinion, scary, but it's just kind of like, huh? Like when I was reading Dr. Sleep, I was a few chapters in, and a friend of mine is like, "Oh, what part are you on?" I'm like, "I'm in the part where a baby predicts 9/11." I'm just like,
when you say it that way, it doesn't play very well. The Dr. Sleep is very good. Yeah. Speaking of Stephen King things, Lewis really wants to talk for us to talk about Christine, which is his favorite horror movie. It's not my favorite, but I quite like Christine.
I love Christine. I think I love the it's off the wall. Honestly, the narrative is insane, but it sells it really well. Like in a way that like King and kind of like the adaptation cinema and like book both. I think they both kind of nail that. And automotive horror is such a tiny subgenre. I kind of feel like it's pretty cool.
I'm a bigger fan. I'm a bigger fan of The Car with James.
The Car.
Rowan.
Did you see the sequel that just came out? The Car.
No, but I heard about it. I heard it has nothing to do.
It has nothing to do with it. They just tried to make a sequel connected to The Car. It's on Netflix. Have fun.
Yeah, but Christine is it's right in Carpenter's prime period, and I think it's kind of the weakest film in his prime period because, like, I think he did it because he got fired off of Firestarter. Say that 5 times fast. Fired off of Firestarter.
Fired? No, I can't.
But yeah, but they fired him off of that, and he kind of did Christine as like a consolation prize.
Even if he did, I don't think, like, I really enjoy Christine. It's not his best by any means, but I still feel like if you took the concept of a killer car and actually made it work to any degree on screen, you did something right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the shot of the car on fire at night is really cool.
So there are a few people have asked what our favorite Halloween costumes are.
We also have Stephen Garrow in here with a super chat, so I feel like we should dedicate our answers to Stephen.
Stephen, this picture that I have sent Perri that she will now put up on the screen.
All
I texted it to you.
I'm looking.
You're gonna put it on the screen. This is my favorite Halloween costume ever. I hope I texted it to you.
You did. Oh my god. I'm trying so hard not to spoil it right now.
You don't have to spoil it. This is
going.
Donato's favorite Halloween costume.
Oh my god.
I give the people what they want.
Guys, you're not ready for this. It's loading. It's loading. Ready? It's coming your way.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's it.
Oh.
Look at me. I'm a little bumblebee. Look at this shit.
How old were you here?
I don't know. Like, fucking old enough not to select a bumblebee as my costume, but my mom really wanted to put it on me.
I feel like I have a lot of costumes that are similar, but like a pumpkin, like the same shape.
Yeah.
And then you can like tell that it's not something I chose. Tomorrow, my niece is going to be Cookie Monster because she's like a legit, literal Cookie Monster. So she's yeah.
So I used my Sonic picture last year. Otherwise, I would have given the Sonic picture. So my mom was big into like making all of my costumes, and they were all like homemade. So like Soon and all that stuff. So I had a Sonic, I had a Swamp Thing. Like Mama Donato went all out. Absolutely amazing with that
Who's
stuff.
here right now?
Haley Fouch.
Hey,
Haley.
Wait. I'm gonna put Amelia on the spot right now.
Oh, you're so sweet, Haley.
No, wait, hold on. I'm going to put Emil on the spot, and this is very funny because she's texting me things. I'm going to read them out loud. And she's now texting me a bubble saying, don't read this out loud, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's funny to me. After your comment on The Shining, Mr. Max, I received this text. Who is this garbage human that you have on your live stream? The book The Shining massacres the film, which is boring. Disgust. All
I can say is, there definitely, there's the kind of person that prefers 2001: A Space Odyssey, and there's the person that prefers 2010 Odyssey 2. Do you want the question or do you want the answer? It's like, that's fine. I mean, if you like the book, Stephen King is no slouch. Stephen King wrote a great foundation for a masterful
look at the
film.
picture. Wait, put that back up. The picture looking you down on that. Oh, that is beautiful.
Picture more than once, but it does feel like it's looking into Max's soul right now.
Wait, how much funnier do you want to make this?
Fisticuffs.
You want fisticuffs? Hold on.
Mama said, knock you out.
I can make fisticuffs happen very quickly.
Perri, I just sent you an email with a picture of my favorite Halloween costume. Not mine, but that somebody posted this the other day. Actually, the director, Steve DeJarnot, who did Cherry 2000 and Miracle Mile. I'm a friend of his on Facebook, and he posted this picture. And I was like, there's never been a better Halloween costume than this. So if you can post that.
It's incoming.
Miracle Mile is where I live.
And it's here. Oh my god.
Yes. That is so good.
Zardoz.
That is so good.
Wow. Now I feel like fun. I need to deliver. I have an image handy because I posted a whole bunch of them on Patreon the other day. Hold on. I'll get you guys a good one. Let's see what
Can I just go back a second and say Haley Fouch is one of my favorite people in the movie web game.
Just repeating something we already know.
Mhm.
No, but like seriously, Haley is the freaking best. All right.
She's she's a genuine.
I didn't. So me and Haley's tradition is just staying up ungodly hours at Fantastic Fest talking, and I didn't get that this year, and like I am not okay.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, I do the same thing with Haley at Fantasia Fest.
We never overlap at Fantasia. And I hate that. I always have to do the different week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see how basic and boring I was as a kid?
Oh,
I was a witch. It's me and Lonnie.
Aww.
We were witches. It was
Are you the one with the glasses?
Yeah, I wear I have contacts in my eyes.
Look at you, nerd.
And look at my little, like, you don't see my cursor right now, but I'm convinced, like, do you remember the sneakers where, like, when you pumped the tongue of the sneaker, it made
yes.
I'm pretty sure those are pump sneakers.
Yeah. We all thought that those were going to let us jump 50 feet in the air, right?
It was either those sneakers or LA Gear sneakers. One of the other.
We're still white. That didn't change anything. Question: what's your guys' favorite horror theme song? Mine is Halloween and The Thing. I think that's a great question. Cesar Gomez. Gonzalez. Sorry, I read that incorrectly. My bad. Cesar Gonzalez.
I'm going to go with
after.
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go with the TV show. I'm going to go with the original Dark Shadows from late 60s, early 70s.
Surprise! Look who's here.
Before we let that happen,
the best moment to bring you in where it wouldn't catch you off guard, but there was never the right moment, so I just did it.
Right. Before this gets to where it is, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I just rewatched it. The Dickies theme song is one of the best theme songs for any horror movie, hands down.
Nightmare Before Christmas. I could sing those songs over and over and over again.
Hell yeah. So Amelia, how do you feel about The Shining?
Okay, so here's the problem is that Matt knows that I'm like super loud and expects me to come in here swinging, which is why he sent me the link, but I'm not going to give him what he wants because he's a toddler.
Hey, give me what I want.
Because I'm not here to dance for you for your live stream.
Oh, well then can you boot her? Can you get her out?
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Damn it.
We're
the reason for my frustration is that every interesting part of the book is removed for the film. Like like all of the depth with The Shining is completely non-existent. Like Stephen King is whatever. Like I enjoy King clearly, but the guy can't write an ending to save his life. Like it's not some sort of abject loyalty to Stephen King.
He also as killed and buried his editor many years ago.
It's very much dead. Like
Each book is like a brick.
I started because The Stand is coming out. I started rereading The Stand, and I love you, Haley.
I just want a sequel for Christine so bad. I don't necessarily want a sequel, but like I wouldn't mind seeing someone try to adapt it again. All right, continue, Amelia.
It's just like on the editor note, like his foreword for the most recent release of The Stand is literally like, this was one of my first novels and all the editors told me not to release it as long as it was, but now they can't control me. So here is 9 million more pages with a bunch of information that doesn't actually matter. Like he literally admitted, he's like, this wasn't needed for the overall story, but it mattered to me. So I wanted you to read it. He was actually very humble in the thing, but like, it's so exhausting because I liked The Stand when I read it when I was younger, and reading it now, I'm just like, shut up.
Yeah. It's sort of like have you ever seen that movie Wonder Boys?
No.
In that movie, Michael Douglas plays an author who's written like this 2,000-page book, and like one of his students is reading it, and she's like, it's really good, but like, did you need like the genealogy of the family's horses and their dental records?
I think the best example of Stephen King doing a whole lot of extra material in addition to the main narrative is probably it, where it winds up serving the history of Pennywise real well while telling the story of the losers. It's like that was well worth the 44-hour audiobook listen.
Absolutely. It is gorgeous. Like I read a lot of Stephen King when I was really young, so I reread a lot of it recently, and rereading it, like it's still my favorite horror novel. Like it's stunning. It is beautiful.
I could listen to it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I could listen to it over and over and over again. I also, while I was training for the marathon, I listened to, for the first time, The Long Walk, which was disturbingly motivating. And then while I did the marathon, I re-listened to all of Dr. Sleep, which I still freaking love that book.
I love the book. I also, once again, think the movie is hot trash.
No.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's like, again, because Dr. Sleep's focus is to delve more into The Shining. Like that's the point of the book. So you can learn more about this, but because Kubrick did not do that, and because Dr. Sleep is so focused on jerking off Stanley Kubrick rather than being Dr. Sleep, it's just all exhausting. There you go. Now you got
Mike Flanagan's Dr. Sleep is caught in the middle of trying to appease fans of both, and I think he finds more success than he should have by doing that.
I agree.
I disagree. I fucking disagree.
Mike Flanagan, but I think he did a terrible job on Dr. Sleep. Like I do. Flanagan is great. He works for me in ways that he does not work for Mr. Shaky Head up there. Like I think he does exceptional work. Which
Mr.
Is
Shaky Wolf. He's a wolf.
Which is why I was so excited for him to be tackling Dr. Sleep, because I was really excited to finally see like the smart emotional take on this franchise, and he did not bring it.
It was emotional.
No.
I still do. I'll admit that I think it might have been better if he just made a True Knot movie. Like, I would have been fine with a True Knot movie starring Rebecca Ferguson and nothing more.
Yeah, yes,
But
that I agree with. I agree with.
The other elements of the story worked well enough. It just
I haven't seen the Dr. Sleep. I haven't seen the Dr. Sleep movie yet, but I feel like I am going to watch it eventually. But I feel like it was just a fool's errand because whether you're like me or you're like her, you want one thing, and if he's trying to sort of meet in the middle, he's never gonna make anybody happy.
Yeah, it's just mediocre for everybody.
Did you see the Pet Sematary remake?
No.
Ain't bad. It ain't
Not bad?
I'm sorry.
I
like
love it, but I seem to be in the minority of loving
Well,
it.
we left South by loving it, and then everyone after South by had the whole like everyone at South by loved this movie. This movie's dumb. Like no one else liked it after that. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean,
it does have its problems
with that for me. Like
it has its problems
in the theater quite a few times. I've
rewatched. It's on Hulu.
I watched it like a year later. It's still a great movie to me.
I think it's streaming. I think it's on Hulu.
Infinitely better than the first Pet Sematary, which is a bar that's on the floor, but like so much better.
I don't know if maybe it's nostalgia, but that version of Pet Sematary still plays well for me too.
Hold on. Important question from Christy. This has nothing to do with Halloween, but if you were a Care Bear, what would your symbol be?
Dewey in cartoon form, obviously.
It
was too easy.
I'm gonna go with hammer and sickle.
Are you a communist? Do you support the Iron Curtain?
They're just. I think they should be represented in the Care Bear world. There needs to be a third party. That's all I'm saying.
Care Bear equality. I get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Christy, I'm trying so hard to pull this question up so people can see your name, but it's not.
Mine would have to be like a frothy beer that's overpouring. Like how else would I represent myself?
Amelia, what you got?
Besides the Night Wolf.
I feel like it would be either a witch's hat or a dinosaur, and I don't know which one.
Or both. It'd be a dinosaur wearing a witch's
hat.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't get there. How did you not get there?
No, I do know how she can get there because do you know what I forced my parents to buy for Halloween this year? We have a blow-up T-Rex on our lawn with a dinosaur hat.
I love it so much. It makes me so happy.
It makes me so happy every single night when I get to look outside and see it. I feel like a teeny tiny child, and it's okay.
It's so good.
So Matt, like we need to wind this down and move over to a certain Halloween party via Gather.
Do we have to?
I think we can. No, I mean like we can push it a little bit. but I think we kind
Yeah,
of.
what about Scott Derrickson directing the Joe Hill adaptation of what?
I
I'm
totally
into it.
forgot about that.
What
Bring
adaptation?
it up. Introduce. How did this one get the?
Because I'm fucking magic, bitch,
Haley.
and she has a witch hat on.
I was
I'm
going.
just buying. I was buying time until Haley got here. I was like,
I
we
was
don't have to
going
go
to
yet, do
send
we?
it to Haley, but then I was thinking to myself, like, do I confuse everyone and not end this stream? But then, like, when you started to say, do we have to end it? Like, clearly we don't because Haley's here.
I'm magic.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
I'm sorry,
Haley,
I was so slow, Donato.
this
Can
one.
I say? I think the look you have, the particular witch look you have, is soft rock witch.
Yeah, you're like Gem and the
Yeah.
Holograms witch.
Yeah.
Very into it.
Like
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell, Ricky Lee Jones, something like that, like 70s Southern California.
I had
Very
a
Hex
black
Girls.
witch hat on, but I was like, no, I'm going to be against a black background. I got to say, this one pops.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah, I was
very,
gonna
very
say that's a great hat. That's an amazing hat.
You guys are the best.
Anyway, sorry, Joe Hill, Black
I
Throne.
say I love you, I guess.
Haley, do you know why I have this onesie? Because you came to the Halloween party edition of Witching Hours so prepared, and I felt so ashamed that, like, what am I wearing? A gray or black t-shirt?
Why am I wearing this onesie? Because
So I like fast ordered, overnighted a onesie because I felt so ashamed, and now I love
What a onesie.
it's so good. Like
I've
I
overnighted way worse.
all the time.
I feel like something we all need to do after COVID is gone and things return back to normal is we all need to just have like a movie web sleepover.
Dude, I want to forego an entire festival, and we just all pick a festival that we don't go to, and we just hang out somewhere else. That's
Mhm.
why I want to do that.
Just rent a house in the wilderness and tear it up. Not the house, just it.
No, we'll tear that out.
Please rent to us.
I will sacrifice my security deposit. We will tear that fucker down.
bad good news is that several film festivals are definitely not going to make it to the other side of that, so we can just go.
Yeah.
So
during
we're gonna fill that void. We're gonna fill
Yeah.
that void.
We're
All right.
leaving on Sunday. Tell the jacuzzi guy to come clean up.
Matt,
Monday morning.
do we
Mhm.
want to pick one more Halloween icebreaker to close this shit out?
There's so many, Perry. What do you
Pick
want to
one.
do?
Pick your favorite one on that gigantic list that you sent me.
I'm not looking at the list at all, so I don't know what you expect from me. Besides, I'm drinking.
Make it up. Did you text
Let's
it
see.
to me? You texted.
No, I didn't at all.
me. All I see is
all right,
like
so
a
we-
Disney picture right now.
Okay, wait. Here is a question I do ask people that is offbeat, I guess, in a way. What is the number one not Halloween movie you have made your tradition to watch every Halloween? Because I have a specific answer, and I'm curious if you guys do too.
Before anybody answers this question, can I just tell you what was on the list of questions that Matt had originally sent me?
Oh, did I do better? Did I do worse?
No. There's just like this question that's a little bit of a head scratcher. Are you ready for it?
Absolutely.
It's actually not. It's an important question. Do you prefer chocolate or chips? Not chocolate chips, but like chocolate, like sweet chocolate or salty chips.
super salty chips dipped halfway
In chocolate. Yeah, dip that shit.
I'm gonna go with
Find
chips. Straight chips.
Well, actually, I think I might go chips too. I'm more in the mood for chips overall than I am for.
Yeah,
When
I'm a savory
when
guy.
I've been drinking, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm more in the mood for chips than
Savory.
chocolate. So like this conversation happening right now feels wrong, and I'm mad at myself for bringing up that question.
However, if we were doing chips like in the British way, like French fries,
Oh,
those are always
yeah.
preferred with the chocolate shake. So just getting weird with the
dip that. You got to dip it in the shake. Come on.
Yeah, that's the
Come
business.
on.
Matt,
That's
what,
business.
what was your original question?
Okay. Original question is what horror movie have you made a Halloween? Like for me, it's a Halloween staple that I watch every Halloween, but is not a Halloween movie at all. It has nothing to do with the holiday. It's just a horror movie I do watch for comfort every Halloween.
Scream? Did I already use that for my answer like 10 times this episode?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if it's your
It was.
answer,
It was also like it was on basic cable the other night, and obviously, I
so
had
like,
to watch
okay, so I'll go first to make it easier. It's the Evil Dead remake because for me, it hits every single like Halloween vibe I want. It is scary. It is fun. It is overly grotesque in the moments it has to be. So it's just become that one movie that for me is comfort. I love it every Halloween, and it has nothing to do with the holiday, but it hits all those vibes that I want it to for a Halloween movie.
We got a whole bunch of chat ones here. Lewis,
There you go. The Crow. There you go.
Christine. We've got Mirror Domains with the Crow. Christy is on Team Perry right now and going Scream. I can't come up with a more interesting answer than Scream. It's just my answer.
Christopher said Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead works 100%. Yeah.
Such as
Kind
the
of Halloween
beautiful-
themed. It is a pumpkin.
Pumpkin, yeah, true, but still not technically Halloween.
Oops.
The
oh my
beautiful
God.
part
Yeah.
of my life and being Perry's co-host is that I can never answer
Yeah.
Scream because she always answers it first.
You can't.
But
Also,
that is
Mustang, hell yeah, fuck you, Barry.
no, I love Perry. I said a beautiful curse. I would also throw out Return of the Living Dead. To me, feels like a Halloween party. And then for the total opposite vibe, like dark and spooky and underrated, Silent Hill, man. I watch that every Halloween and it totally makes me feel oogie.
What's the Silent Hill sequel called?
Revelation.
Oh, Revelations. Don't
Yeah.
watch that one. That's
No.
bad.
That's not
Kit
at all what I'm
Harington.
discussing here.
My
Michael
poor
J.
kid. My
Bassett.
poor kid.
I feel like I also can't answer Scream, so I'm gonna go with The Conjuring, probably more specifically The Conjuring 2.
Fair.
I like that. We were just referencing the Elvis scene earlier.
I know I answered the question in chat.
She put the right song
Answer.
in.
I didn't
It
see it.
Can't help falling in love with you.
All right, that's it. You're right.
I'm gonna go with is it Amelia? Yes. I hope this might redeem me a little bit. But I'm gonna go with the Tobe Hooper Salem's Lot.
Huh.
The 3-hour movie cut. I love small town horror. I've read the book. The book is really good. The Stephen King book, and the movie is pretty true to that, or as true as you can be in a 3-hour film. I like chasing it with. He wrote a sequel short story called One for the Road, which is a really good short story that takes place like sort of in the aftermath of Salem's Lot. I like doing those two every year.
Gary Doberman is making a new Salem's Lot, and I know that makes Haley very happy, and me too.
His Annabelle movies, so good.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Annabelle Comes Home rules. That should have made way more
Yes.
money. That movie is fun as heck. That's a really good Halloween movie.
Hey,
Yeah,
Matt,
I agree with that.
do you know what I blame Annabelle Comes Home's box office failure on?
No.
I actually don't.
Child's Play.
Oh yeah, fuck Child's Play. That's stupid remake.
You
That's
can't
fucking
have
stupid
that
remake.
1-2 punch of doll horror that
Yeah.
quickly. I feel like they ate into each other, and both deserved more. Maybe more so Annabelle Comes Home, but I feel
Yeah,
like
no, Child's Play didn't deserve shit.
Child's
That
Play
should
didn't
have
deserve
died.
anything. That
should have
movie is
died in a fire.
No, it wasn't garbage. It wasn't great. It wasn't garbage.
It was
Annabelle
really-
I think
good though.
Yeah, Annabelle Comes Home. It wasn't a failure, but I think it was like it did not do as well as the predecessors, and I think it was considered a
That's the
disappointment.
thing. It
Which
didn't
is
do
so
Conjuring.
dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's so
Yeah.
dumb because Annabelle itself is one of the worst. It's the worst Conjuring movie,
Yeah.
hands down. Like
Well,
it is
one of the
so
reasons,
bad.
yeah, one of the reasons why Annabelle Comes Home is so good is because it finally says we don't give a shit where Annabelle came from.
Yeah.
Let's just have some spooky monsters for an hour and a half.
It felt like walking through a
people what
Halloween
they
horror
want.
maze in the best way. Like
Yeah.
it felt like going through a maze and like you're just going on all these adventures and all these random fucking asides, and it
Yeah.
was perfect for that.
Can I pose a question to the group related to Annabelle
No,
Comes Home?
get out, leave.
Favorite Annabelle Comes Home monster? Go.
The werewolf. Oh, I'm taking the werewolf. Fuck all you guys. I'm wearing the wolf costume. It's the werewolf. We got a practical wolf. I love it.
That's on brand.
Yep. Wolf.
Yeah, it's the werewolf.
Yeah.
Everybody's werewolf, Perry.
I'm just a
Are we all
sucker
team
for
werewolf?
practical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it was weird. Like they hadn't done that yet, so it was fun and different.
Oh, my thing just freaked out.
no, that is fair. I feel like I'm also, because of the witches, so much in a practical effects zone and like veer as far away from CG effects as I possibly can at the moment. I know there's some good visual effects out there, but when you give me a practical thing like that, I'm all for it.
Well, and
Hey,
it's the first time we've
like
had that kind
the,
of monster. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
like the Feely Mealy game.
Oh yes.
Ooh,
Like,
That was,
no, it's good. That's
I never
great.
seen
There's
that.
so many good
Never seen
monsters.
yeah, it's so good.
And but again, like for me, it's just the fact that like we've only had the paranormal to that extent in the Conjureverse, whatever you want to call it, and that werewolf is the first instance of like, oh, guess what? We're really gonna go out of bounds, and we're gonna introduce every kind of monster you can have in the Conjureverse, and it was that tease. So it's like I want more of that. I want.
Mhm.
I know this is sacrilegious. I want more of like the Nun a
Mhm.
part of the Conjureverse because I like the Nun. I think the Nun does things that's B movie-esque that the rest of the Conjureverse would never do. So it's like you put the werewolf, you put the Nun. I want that world of the Conjureverse where they stop caring about being the like A-list spookiness and we get to go have fun with the fucking weird creatures on the side.
Yeah, the Nun is really really good because I mentioned before the Black Sunday, the Mario Bava movie.
Yes.
You know, the Nun takes a lot from Black Sunday and from Mario Bava's filmography. The director actually told me, like it's definitely a thing, and yeah, it also takes a little bit from Black Narcissus, and like it's very film literate. You know, it definitely you know goes for the Gothic jugular. I thought that was a good one too.
Corin Hardy knows his shit.
And
I mean, it's
it's
obvious.
I mean, when I say all, I mean all two of the things we chose collectively as a group
Yeah,
were
you're
the
like-
ones that didn't look like wand ghosts. They were their own
Yeah.
invention. And I think that's important.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that 100%. That's what I was saying before in the sense of like, I love what he does with his movies. They are unmatched. James Wan is a master of shadow play and that kind of paranormal. But like when you get outside of that after seeing so much of it, it's refreshing. Like it's the sense of like we can have fun in other elements. Like we can have the werewolf story that is stupid, practical, and goofy because that is still a thing that like it might not be in the mainstream right now, but it's available, and we forget what's available outside of what we get every day.
Yeah, well, Conjuring Universe knows what the Marvel Universe does, which is you can have you can do any kind of horror movie within the Conjuring Universe. You can do Gothic, you can do haunted house.
Yeah, and I think we've seen enough of
Why are you Italian again? You could do Gothic. You could do a haunted house. Hey, man.
Get out of here.
Sorry. Not to interrupt anyone. He's just being Italian.
Go ahead, Haley.
No, I was just saying I think we've seen enough Conjuring and Insidious films to see that nobody does Juan like Juan. Like people should do their own thing. He does his thing super well and just doesn't play as well with other filmmakers trying to copy that.
And hopefully Patrick Wilson can keep it in the universe, but also do his own thing with the next Insidious film.
But we don't even know what his own thing is. I can't wait to see what his thing is, which is an Insidious horror musical that we all deserve.
I wouldn't mind that. We have a 1-2 punch of a super chat right now because I didn't really like say this out loud before. Mukbang Reviews said, "I love Matt and Haley so much.
Yeah,
thanks for the Halloween gift and have a great weekend. You too, and you're back here." Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978, my favorite. I was just rewatching this with my family the other night, and yes, it's still great. Wait, Max, did you do that the other night? Were we talking about where was I recently? Where someone like reenacted that?
It wasn't me, but
so like someone literally just did what you did on another stream, and it's freaking me out right now.
Yeah, Perri, it was you and I on the Collider podcast with Matt and Adam.
That's it, because Adam brought it up as his pick, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or Matt did. Maybe
One
Matt
of those two
one
things
of them did, and one of them made the face.
Yes.
Gotta make the face.
I just feel better that I didn't dream that up. All right.
It's written in the social contract. You gotta make the Donald Sutherland face.
Let's close this out and go to party time. Thank you to everybody out there for joining us tonight. I hope this kind of, I know we're all stuck at home and we're trying to be safe right now, but I hope this let you tap into the Halloween spirit. For all of our wonderful guests, Max, we'll start with your storyteller. Where can everybody follow your work and find you on the social medias?
Well, during my day job, I'm the managing editor of ComingSoon.net. So you can always find me there. If you want to read more of my horror stories, just go to the Reddit No Sleep. I believe my screen name is MAX _ EVRY. I've done A Night at the Phone Bank. I did another one recently called Russian Soap Opera, which is pretty fun. That's it for me.
Amelia, what you got for us?
You can find most of my stuff nowadays at whattowatch.com, and you can find me on Twitter at browncoathorror, and you're probably not going to be able to find me under that name, so just look on Matt or Haley or Perry's page.
That's actually a good way to direct people to you. Haley, my biggest surprise of the night. I'm so happy you popped in here. Where can everyone find you?
I'll also just say you can find, nope, I always get it wrong. Both of these people just generally being excellent humans in the world. And you can find me on Twitter at Haley Fouch. You can find me on Instagram at Haystack McGroovy. And you can usually find me doing something with Perri at least once or twice a week because she my girl.
Speaking of which, you can find this one, and nope.
This one. I'm just gonna do this one.
Amelia just saw
I'm your hands. I'm your hands.
all three of us. You're laughing at me.
On a special episode of the Collider Witching Hour, where he all should I finish it? Sorry, where we all talk about our favorite Halloween. We all have topics. It's great. We have a Halloween party. Perri can't talk right now. She is disabled some way. I don't know. She's broken. She has been broken, and it's a fun episode. It's a fun picture. Doreen is there. Vinny's there. Y'all know those names. I'm still talking. Perri, you can end this whenever you want. You have the power.
If you go over to that Witching Hour episode for any reason, it's to see the bow tie game. The bow tie game. Go play it. I'm pressing the button.